trouble. Watch out. Watch you wicked them mahala. Say the wicked them mahala. Right goes Hey, what you wicked them mahala. Say the wicked them mahala. Right goes
So why you come to me with that foolishness, you know? You elect a prime minister, and he's a prime minister around the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want to right there that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Happy Tuesday to those in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much as usual for tuning in. Really appreciate each and every one. Remember, guys, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. That will be greatly appreciated. Tonight's topic is Crony capitalist, and we also had / the FLA report that will be discussed as well. Let me just say a special shout out to all our channel members and also to all of our moderators. Let me just quickly oops, the chat is already gone. But let me just quickly welcome those in the chat, and we will be joined by Melting Pot and Miss Daisy shortly. Maxwell Williams, Minerva, Bloomy Coleman, Beverly, Dorothy McCoy, Elaine Turner, Pat W, Carla Ebanks, Rennie Swaby, Anthony R, bless up yourself, Laverne, Leighton Brown, Harold Jamrock 8766, bless up yourself, Sharon Ricketts, Dwight Tyndale, Barbara Giwa, Richard Reed, Cultural Icon, Blessings, Jackie Graham, As a God, FC BR Prendy, Doreen Vassell, Ranchil Taylor, George Beckford, bless up. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Without any delay, let me hand over to Baron because I have a few housekeeping things to do.
All right. Thank you, Lady Mystic, for that. Now, peeps, trust me, we have a lot of things to discuss, and I mean some serious things as it relates to the FLA report. That is the first subject matter we want to touch, right? Because it is crazy in terms of what I'm reading, some serious corruption. And I know you're staying tuned, right? To hear that. You're going to get your coffee, your crackers and everything. Because of course we have it in two formats. We have it in the print media, and of course we have it in a PDF document. So we are going to use, right, what Jamaica Gleaner has on breakdown for us. So we'll be dissecting that. Now we have a lot of things, a lot of subjects that we are going to discuss tonight. I mean, some geopolitics involved as it relates to Nimitz, that aircraft, right, that is in the Kingston Harbor. We'll be discussing that, of course, and several other topics that we are going to discuss. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is going to be extremely interesting. But, you know, before I go there, of course, we are going to touch some issues as it relates to the PSC meeting, right? What was uncovered in the PSC meeting, you understand, some very serious issues of corruption there. I mean, the Jamaica Labour Party administration is just rigged with corruption from the top to the bottom. It's just serious in terms of, you know, the entire Jamaica Labour Party administration. It's really a kleptocratic banana republic, you know, all of the negatives as it relates to poor governance, right, that we can just mete out to them. But, you know, we are going to divulge, right, as it relates to the information that we have here. So, yes, let us bite into the FLA. And well, hold on, before I touch that, when I said that the People's National Party, members of parliament who are representing us in parliament, believe you me, they have proven themselves over and over and over. The level of probity, the high level of probity. Big up yourself, MP Brown, Monsieur. You understand and trust me, you have won the day today in parliament because, you know, I mean, you have done your thing, right, in terms of, you know, destroy the Jamaica Labour Party administration to say that they are an administration of PR and nothing else, right? And I mean, you articulate it so well. And so, you know, we are going to touch that too and highlight that as well. But the topical issue, let us break into the FLA report, Jamaica, the corruption, turn up, unbelievable, right? In terms of, you know, just looking at it. So let us venture into the FLA report. All right, here we have it. Thank you, honey. So Jamaica, let us get into the level of corruption that is taking place, right? I mean, the Andrew Honest administration, believe you me, right? Every day that they remain in power, it's critical as it relates to the life of Jamaicans. Corruption central. Now let us read. I see FLA manipulated database and dead man logged in ammo purchase, server crash, wipe key evidence. Jamaica people, you hear that? Mighty goodness at the start. Now, a firearm licensing authority FLA database was manipulated to record an ammunition purchase by a dead man. Jamaica, we are not making up this. We are not making up this, people, right? A firearm licensing authority database was manipulated to record an ammunition purchase by a dead man, and the server holding evidence of who gave the order has been destroyed, says an Integrity Commission report. Mighty goodness, mighty goodness. Now, the 131-page report tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday found that the FLA's license management system was manipulated by the FLA, and it appears that inaccurate information was inputted. Now, the FLA, in a response to the IC, said it strongly refuted the allegation, even as it acknowledged that the entries were made and no supporting documents presented to the IC. So, I mean, the IC is correct. So what are they trying to? And they acknowledge
that the entries were made. So what are they refuting?
I don't know what they are refuting. This is mad. They are acknowledging that the entries were made.
Yet they are refuting.
So yes, but yet they are refuting the allegation. What sort of stupidness is this? Now, the report noted that one of the purchases was attributed to a man who had been dead for 25 days before the transactions was logged. People don't hear that? But the email trail that could have established who gave the order to make the false entries was lost when FLA's server crashed and could not be recovered, the report said. Now, despite extensive efforts and the application of all available resources, the project to recover the lost data was ultimately unsuccessful. FLA CEO Shane Dallin told investigators in a January 2025 statement. The report said Director of Information System Christopher Christie had previously disclosed in a 2023 statement that the server for the period experienced a catastrophic failure and has been decommissioned since 2019. Now, let me just let him melt in. Whoever is on. Sister Maria is on stage. Let me just let her read. All right, and go back to reading the document. Sister Maria, I want you to take in the high level of corruption that is here. Now, the report said Director of Information Systems Christopher Christie had previously disclosed in a 2023 statement that the server for the period experienced a catastrophic failure and has been decommissioned right since 2019. There was no backup. The Integrity Commission Director of Investigation, Kevin Stevenson, concluded that the instruction to input and the act of inputting what appears to be fabricated information into the system prima facie constitute a breach of Section 5 of the Cybercrime Act. And not JLP me here to talk about Cybercrime Act and this and that, right? They are the first one who are going to be arrested, you know. They are the first one who are going to be arrested. But he said no referral for prosecution could be made, given the evidentiary gap the server failure created. Now, this is what I am upset with, right? In terms of, right, as it relates to evidentiary gap, right? Because someone needs to be answered.
But what I'm going to say is,
yes,
for every system, there's a backup.
There's a backup.
So what happened to the backup system that would hold the information?
But everything would back up in the cloud.
So it can be retrieved.
So it can be retrieved.
So I don't understand what they're saying there.
Right here, so I don't understand. Right here, so I don't understand. They have to get an expert, because remember, everything that input into the system, right, would now be captured in the cloud, right? So you can go into the cloud and you can get that. Now, the manipulated records show 4 entries dated July 11, 2018, purportedly recording the purchase of 6,000 rounds of 12-gauge bird hunting ammunition from the businessman Ken Brown's dealership by 3 individuals. According to the report, former FLA database administrator Siobhan Robinson is identified in the LMS record as the person who made the entries. Well, this Siobhan Robinson, right, must be held accountable to answer, because he is the one that input the information in the database, right? So he has to be under interrogation as it relates to all those entries that he inputted, those false entries that Siobhan Robinson inputted, right? How they would have gotten deleted, right? And remember, right, from once you put certain things in the computer, right? I mean, even if you delete it, there's a main server, right? There's a main server that it will go to, right? And said, okay, all right, even if you destroy the hard drive. So I really don't understand this. Now, Robinson told investigators he acted on instruction received either by email or memo from the Director of Information System and Technology Department of the Chief Executive Officer, but said he could not say which of the two gave the order.
So
now,
hold him responsible then and make him speak.
But only the Chief Executive Officer, I would have to start with the Chief Executive Officer. Because if you are running a system, you're supposed to be marshalling the system, supervising the system, and provide oversight to the system. So then, to have this continuing, right, for the period of time that it had continued, and the Chief Executive Officer cannot say that he is oblivious of what is going on. And he's saying now that he cannot remember who had given him the order. That is madness.
Remember that didn't get order, but
yes.
I remember.
Here it is, Here it is, Sister Maria. Robinson told investigators he acted on instruction received. Okay, someone give you the order, right? By email or memo. If you have an email or memo, right, that is going to save in the cloud. So then you're going to see who sent you the email, or if it is a memo, it is the same thing. right? So even if you damage the hard drive, right, it is going to save on a server, a main server. So I don't understand as it relates to, you know, why the investigators cannot retrieve this, right? And what they need to do then, bring in an expert. Bring in an expert, you understand, who can comb through the system, right? Track the footprint, right? And find the necessary information to convict this person. This person needs to be convicted. Now, Director of Information System and Technology Department are Chief Executive Officer. So one of the two, either the Director of Information System, right, and Technology gave him the order, or the Chief Executive Officer gave him the order, but yet he said he cannot remember. Well, guess what? This evidence, right, need to be tracked, and it can be tracked, right? And as I said, even if you damage the hard drive, right, this is going to save, right, on the cloud or the server, right? So this can be tracked. There's a digital footprint is there that can be retrieved. Those emails, right, the critical link in the chain of command were reportedly on the server that crashed, right? Now, two of the alleged purchasers said they did not engage in any such transaction. But again, even if, right, as it relates to what I'm seeing here, the manipulation of data, they can be charged for that. They can be pursued and charged for that. You understand? Because obviously they made attempt to destroy evidence. So this is tampering with evidence, you know. It is clear. The Integrity Commission investigator, it is clear that these people tamper with evidence. Now, Sister Marie, while we are talking, you know what came to mind? The SSL, right?
Yes, exactly.
Computers. This is the very same. So this now they tell about the GLP administration. You understand how corrupted, right? Because this what we are seeing here is the same execution as it relates to SSL data.
My question is, it was the ammunition was purchased from an establishment. They've made the establishment. They don't have any invoice to show of who made the purchase.
Exactly. Right. So then even the established institution, right, that
have documents,
you understand, that process the sale, you understand, they can track that, right? This is easy to track. One had died on June 16, 2018, some 25 days before the entries were allowed, and held only a temporary license at the time of his death. That would not have permitted him to purchase ammunition. You know, you hear all of them something there, corruption, you know, serious corruption. The other two told investigators that they made no such purchases. Now, this is a really serious backside going on. So the National Environment and Planning Agency confirmed none of the three held valid hunting permits for 2018. You hear that? The reports conclude that the manipulation was sufficient basis for a reasonable and detached observer to form the view that Kent Brown was targeted by the FLA. You hear something, people? Brown, owner of KBA Dealers Jamaica Limited and Kent Brown Tactical Training Center, told investigators that former senior FLA compliance officer Ellsworth Callum called him in 2018 or 2019 and demanded $2 million for his business to continue operating smoothly. You hear them something, people? Brown said he refused. I told him that I was not going to pay him any money. He then said, okay, if that's your decision. Now, the Commission Director of Investigation found no evidence to support or contradict that allegation. Brown's two business ultimately closed, right? Well, you see, the manipulation started place. KBTTC in July 2021 and KBA Dealers in February 2022, because guess what? Him decides him now pay up. You understand? So guess what? Business of a close. After FLA withheld his license certificate despite his renewal applications being stamped as approved. On a year of the manipulation there. When we look at this now, at the same thing that FLA execute against Paul Buchanan. Let me just reference back to, you know, as it relates to all of Paul Buchanan firearm, you know, and the behavior. You understand what they go on now, FLA, you know. Watch this now. His license were formally revoked in February 2024. Right? A Supreme Court bid to compel the FLA to issue the certificate was dismissed. When you hear them something here? Darling was presented with the DI's finding before publication. Darling noted in March 24, 2026 letter objecting to the publication of the report that the organization learned of the allegation for the first time at a meeting with IC officials in March 19. He rejected the allegation. This IC said his written response contained no evidence that would alter the conclusions or recommendations. The tabling follows a protracted legal and parliamentary battle after Sunday Gleaner first reported on May 17 that the report was submitted to the presiding officer at Garden House on March 30, but remained untabled. Right? So even the government, the JLP government, want to, you understand, suppress information from coming out. Right? Now, there was no injunction blocking tabling at any point, but Garden House explained that it would be inappropriate to act after getting correspondence from FLA's lawyers that they were challenging the report in court. Now, when I look on this sort of situation, and the JLP, right, administration try them endeavor best for cover up corruption, it goes to show you how they are trying their endeavor best in covering and suppressing Andrew Holness, you understand, corruption. So it tells you that the entire cabinet, the entire GLP organization, you understand, is an administration, a corrupted administration. It's sickening people. It's sickening as it relates to the level of corruption. The FLA had filed an urgent application in the Supreme Court on April 7, naming the IC and Stevenson as respondent and seeking disclosure of the unpublished report. A source of that authority said FLA strongly disagreed with the findings and believed publication would cause irreparable reputational harm. Right? So we don't have to even go anymore in terms of, you understand, the GLP try to block this thing and all of them thing there and blah, blah, blah. Let me just stop that and let me just speak. Now, Sister Maria, when we look at high level of corruption, and not only the high level of corruption, Sister Maria, right? The extreme effort of the Jamaica Labour Party administration try to suppress this. Now, so if there's a government, right, that is going to do their endeavor best, right, to suppress and preserve the status quo of corruption, then this is a government that just obviously cannot serve the people, right? Obviously cannot serve the people where checks and balance is concerned. What say you on this matter, Sister Maria? Let me just bring in Sister Maria.
Yeah, good evening, Mystic. Good evening, Anne-Marie, and to everybody in the chat. A blessed Tuesday evening, and it's good to be here. First, let's establish what FLA stands for. It's the Firearm Licensing Authority. Am I correct, Byron?
Yes.
Okay. Now, given the nature of that organization and the work that they do, it is frightening what this report is saying. Yes. And the last part of the article you were reading talked about irreparable reputational harm. I mean, an organization like that, an agency like that, should welcome any investigative report about their agency so that they can plug any loopholes, given what they do. Because you have to consider, you know, wasn't it a few years ago where they talked, it was Horace Chang who came out and talked about all the amount of guns that came into the country, how many they were able to intercept.
Yes.
But also how many they did not intercept.
Yes.
That's one. What about persons who ought not to have weapons, but were given a licensed firearm?
Serious corruption.
What about all those weapons? How many of those weapons from the FLA, licensed firearms, were used to commit a crime? So if anybody should be welcoming of an investigation, it would be the FLA, given the delicate nature of their job and given that lives are at stake. If they do not dot all their I's and cross all their T's, this is one agency that should not be this corrupt. It shouldn't be, because people's lives are at risk, given the level of corruption that is coming out of it. And you talked about all those files that are missing. A forensic investigator can find those files, because as long as you hit send on any server, it just takes one person's email to retrieve everything, because everybody has an IP address. So they can find the information if they are interested. And I'm thinking that, you know, and this is how corrupt the administration really is. And I think everybody is taking their lead from Andrew Holness, and he cannot absolve himself of this one, that given the amount of corruption that surrounds, Andrew is embroiled in a lot of corruption individually, him as a person, him as a prime minister, that has yet to be resolved, i.e. his statutory declarations. Now, when he is under this cloud of corruption, how do you think other agencies that come underneath in his, how do you think they are going to operate? Do you think they're going to operate any different? He sets the tone.
Yes.
The tone is set at the top. The example is set at the top. Because with this report, and remember now, if the opposition did not make a stink about it, it would not have been tabled today, and was the last thing tabled in the parliament today.
Yes.
It would not have been tabled, right? And knowing what was in there, the speaker, and that's why she has no credibility. The speaker and the president of the Senate, they know what is in the report, right? They should be the first people, if they had any integrity whatsoever, and if they meant the country any good, and if they had any respect for the rule of law, they would be the first to table the report, and then the parliament convene a select committee to haul the FLA in front of them to answer questions. And MOCAN, DPP, and all these law enforcement agencies should have been mobilized to deal with this. This is serious. It cannot be just brushed under the carpet and behave like, oh yeah, nothing to see here. There's a lot to see here, given that Jamaica is a high crime society. Yeah. Given that you have guns coming in from left, right, and center unaccounted for. You would think that even this one agency would be prudent in how they manage their office, in management of their agency, and making sure that persons who get weapons are persons who can manage the responsibility of having these weapons.
Well,
this is frightening.
Well, on the system, let me strengthen your argument and tie the politics to it. If you remember some time ago, right, in 2019, Robert Montague was investigated, right, as it relates to 6 licenses that he had issued, issuing, you understand, to criminals. So you are making the very same statement, but we are wondering now, because this FLA situation could also reach to the top of someone in the political realm, right? And that is one of the reasons why they want to they damage the database and do all of that, because it may also have political attachment, because we had seen where Robert Montague was flagged by the Integrity Commission investigators to have issued, right, 6 licenses to some serious criminals. Remember that. So I'm just strengthening your argument, Sister Maria.
Yeah, that is very true. And you see, and here's the thing, Baron and Anne-Marie, the fox is watching the hen house. Okay? Because when you still have, and that's why I say, Andrew, you know, Andrew's being held by his balls, by the members of his cabinet and his party and everything. He cannot do anything to them.
Yes.
Because when you still have, and here's why, you have Dalrymple still in the parliament, criminal. Montague, used car scandal. Wheatley, Petrojam.
Yes.
Darrell Vaz, used bus scandal. Tufton, Market Me scandal. Plus the whole Cornwall Regional and all the other debacle. And you can go down the list. And he cannot fire one strike in one of those persons. You know why? They are going to say, you're talking about me corrupt? Look at Andrew. Look at Andrew. And every agency, every ministry, as for Horace Strang, he couldn't even set foot on the warship that is he couldn't even set foot.
Sister Maria, hold it a bit. People need to understand that this is very serious, and as it relates to the Donald Trump administration, as it relates to, you know, the thing that was sent for them, what you call it, interdiction, what we call it again? That United States sent for them.
The indictment? Was it an indictment against it?
No.
What is that?
Extradition.
Oh, extradition. Yeah. Forget.
This goes to show you that Horace Strang is indeed on the extradition list that was sent, because he cannot, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Sister Maria, the Minister of National Security, right, was not asked, right, to enter.
And he should be the one.
And he should be the one, you understand, that going there, and you have Darrell Vaz and Dana Morris. It is
No.
unbelievable.
Wait. We're making light of it because it keeps you from crying.
Yes.
But didn't you see how Darrell looked like a deer caught in the headlights?
Hey.
Oh my God. He looked like he would have done.
He was, listen to me.
Yes.
Darrell was praying to God
Yes.
that he come up as, it's like he was, I think he was saying in his mind to Dana Dixon, pick fast and in a hurry. Let's move it. Talk fast. We got to go. Because you look at him and he was having an out of body experience. Like, are you for real? What if? You understand me? You could see, look at any picture.
Terrified.
And he was just shocked. He was just shocked, you know?
Yes.
But but back to the FLA. I know we have to make light of situation, but back to it is serious. But all of this happening, and you would think that Andrew, he runs his mouth about accountability and leadership and law enforcement. He spends the most money on law enforcement. But why are there so many holes?
You want to talk?
And it's just everything about his administration is just corrupt. And he's doing nothing to address the corruption and to plug these holes and to make sure he hires people of integrity. You know what he has been doing? He has been firing the professionals and hiring his yes men who don't know what it is that they're doing. And hence, this is the problem that we're having. And it's only if the Jamaican people don't stand up, it's gonna get worse, and they're gonna feel it.
It's going to. Thank you, Sister Maria, for that wonderful input. Yes, we have a caller. We are going to make the caller share his views and opinion. We are multitasking tonight because tonight is very hot. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation. Please go ahead.
Yeah, man. Bolo here, man. Good
Welcome,
night,
Bolo.
Mr. Davey.
Hi, Bola. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, man. With all of our respect, you know.
All right.
Love you too, my dear.
I want to say, man, I don't want you misrepresent Mr. Horace Strang, you know, man. The man is speaking his constituency, man. What is wrong with you, Mr. Byron? The man is doing work in his constituency. The USA is not important, man. The people that he served is more important.
Okay.
You don't see him in his constituency. Yes, they have a building, they construct with solar panels and community work is being done. So he has no time to go and visit That particular big, huge, gigantic ship in Kingston that has everything to do with his portfolio. How do you expect him to go there? He's tied up.
He's tied up.
He's tied up, man. He's tied up.
Where you say, Bolo, Dr. Crab gonna crab bush?
No, he's tied up, man. He has a lot of work doing in his constituency, man. You can't do that to the man, man. The man is working hard, man.
Mighty goodness. No, sir.
You say, yesterday we see the video on JIS. Hey, them people are so talented. We tell you what them do. They are very strategic, you know. So them hear the social media going around about Dr. Crab not being on the ship. And I'm telling you, the CMD, the manager of a video with the man on the thumbnail, doing work in his constituency. These people are about that. But I'm going to leave you.
All right. Blessings, Bolo.
Pick up the wife and pick up the AC again.
All right. Blessings.
Blessings. No, but you know something, Baron and Anne-Marie? Yeah. You have a commissioner of police. He's a lower rank in terms of what this ship represents. So he'll be a lower rank in that. But you have the JDF. Who's the head of the JDF?
There's a lady. I don't remember the name of the lady.
The commander.
Right. And the Prime Minister is the Minister of Defense.
The Prime Minister is the chief.
Yes.
The commanding chief.
Right. So in terms of hierarchy, who you think should be there? I know the Minister of National Security, definitely. But why the Minister of Education and the Minister of Transportation? I'm not connecting the dots with that one.
Doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense because the people with the portfolio and the experience necessary to have that kind of conversation, they were missing in action. So it really looks bad.
Exactly. All right.
But hold on, Miss Daisy. Remember that they said the pretext is that they're here to beautify some schools.
Yeah, and you listen to me, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, I own Air Canada. How much do you want to pay me for it?
I'll pay you $0. You just write it over.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I said the pretext.
Makes no sense.
All right, Jamaica. Where we are going next is another bangarang, right? And I don't know if any of you, right, tune in into the PSC meeting, but some serious level of corruption as it relates to UHWI. But we are not going to waste any time. Let us dive into that because that is one of the utmost issue for as it relates to the PSC meeting. Let us delve into this. And we notice the situation with the Jamaica Labour Party administration, as I said previously, that they will do everything in terms of suppressing information. Or let me just take this call before I go there. Hold on. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stay along with you, but I'm just gonna tell you one thing.
Yes.
You know why Crony and Minister fear. If you was watching that thing with Vaz, you saw Vaz in a tremble.
Oh yes. Quite obvious. It's quite obvious that he was talking about future tense and didn't realize that he was on the ship.
Yes, and then guess what happened now? The Prime Minister don't go because he think to say America go do him just like how they did do the guy they don't have Venezuela and his wife.
Remember said Donald Trump had no good enough. So Donald Trump can just spontaneously just decide, say, listen me, you need to come in. So he makes sure him take for himself.
So that's why he no go and he coward because you know see all in a parliament there, so you know see how quick him and Juliet even run out. You know see how they run out of parliament today.
Yes.
So I just that me I share with you. Say something in something we don't know what will happen. Make we see what will take place, but
Exactly.
Things maybe turn the way different from when me always I think say them a go to Cuba and almost Cuba alone.
Well, Bangarang in the Caribbean basin hot.
Yes. So me in the class I listen.
All right, my brother. Blessings.
Yeah.
Yes. Let us take a walk, people, in the PSC and hear what go on at the PSC. A Bangarang tonight. Make a walk and see what go on at the PSC. Yes.
Would have had, I assume, would have been given the responsibility for dealing with the recruitment of the CEO. Was there any report from them separate from what is in the board minutes?
We haven't seen any.
No? Okay.
Yes. There's one referred to in this minute.
I know, but I'm asking if there's any subsequent report from the committee itself, even if it is not in the board minutes, whether the committee met either before or after, and whether, because
Chairman,
board committee
yes,
would also document their, board committees would document their meetings and decisions taken.
Chairman,
I will have to.
Yes, proceed.
I will have to do further investigation on that for you to confirm. But at this point, we don't have anything.
You don't have anything for us?
Chairman, reference is now made to the the records of perhaps a subcommittee meeting. But what we heard was very clear. It was indicated to us that the board ratified a position that the minutes of the board is not supporting. So why do we need to go back to even the minutes of the subcommittee meeting? There was no mistake in what was communicated to us.
All I'm saying, member, is that I find it surprising that for a process as important as this, that there are only 2 paragraphs in one board, in one section of board minutes. And I would think there would be something more, given how detailed this process was. I believe there was, in addition to the board subcommittee, my understanding was that there was external HR persons who were engaged to help with the recruitment, et cetera, et cetera. So I would believe there would be something more documented somewhere to indicate, more about that process than what is here. But
we will do the
you'll
additional
do some
search.
further checks. But all we have is what has been presented to us at this point in time. Our members, I'm Mr. Kevin Allen, the former CEO. He made a submission to the committee and he is before us. So again, Mr. Allen, let me thank you for responding to the invitation, for your submission, and I will open the board.
Jamaica people, I want you to listen to this particular situation that is going to unfold, and what you're going to hear is going to marvel all of us, right, as it relates to the high level of corruption, because I have some serious questions to ask, and I mean the Jamaica Constabulary Force need to do their job, right, and proceed in terms of their investigation to arrest and charge. You are going to hear what is coming out, my Jamaican people. Continue to listen.
With some questions, and I know members will also have some questions. The first question I have for you, Mr. Allen, during your period, well, could you just indicate the period when you served as CEO and the time that you served at the University Hospital?
Morning, Chair. Good morning, members. I started my sojourn at University Hospital of the West Indies in 1995. There was a 2-year hiatus. I returned in 2001, and I was confirmed CEO on the 1st of November 2016, and I left on, I opted not to renew my contract on the 31st of October 2022.
Okay, so you would have been CEO for about 6 years.
Yes, sir.
But prior to that, you would have been in various management capacities for another, probably what, 10, 15 years?
15 years. Chair.
15 years,
Yeah.
okay. So I would say you are well versed with how the hospital operates.
I know a few stuff. Chair.
All right, one of the issues that came up in the Auditor General's report related to your signature on, if it's, I'm using the term, a customs form in relation to the importation of items for the university after you would have demitted office as CEO. There's been a view that some of these forms may have been signed blank to facilitate the importation of items for the university. What is your perspective on that? One, did you ever sign blank forms? Two, whether it was routine for you to approve items coming in on behalf of the university? What do you think would explain your signature on a form a year after you would have demitted the post as CEO?
Thank you very much, Chair, for that question. So I think the form in question is a C85. Those forms, they are used for internal purposes. It's not a declaration. Yes, Chair, to facilitate emergency clearance. Some of those forms, about 4 or 5 at a time, would have been signed blank. But let me haste to say to the committee that upon submitting my resignation, a second letter was drafted to management, informing management to remove my name from all accounts and other relevant documents that, that I would be required to sign in performing my duties. So it would have been unfortunate for someone to be using those a few documents after my departure.
All right, let me stop here and dissect, right, as we go along. So here is the CEO is confirming that it is unfortunate if the continuation of where his signature attached, right, to a blank C85 internal documentation that used for emergency services, right, would have still continued. And not only that, Jamaican people, the HR itself had sent out a memo in saying that this man's signature, the CEO here that is talking to us, signature need to remove from all document because he's no longer CEO. That memo has sent out by the CEO. So anyone who is using, right, any document to deal with procurement, particularly emergency procurement, where this man's signature still affixed, is 100% fraud. And this is where we are going tonight. This is where we are going tonight. And this is very significant and extremely serious. Because for argument's sake, a situation in terms of signature, signing blank document, right, should not be even in the first place. And let me explain why. You cannot be signing signature, right, just for the very same reason as it relates to this level of corruption. And if you are doing a procurement process, say for argument's sake, to make everyone understand that a procurement situation may cost a total of 100,000. And it need, you understand, oversight by the CEO and then signed off. To the fact that the CEO is no longer with the company, right? And the signature still be using. One can manipulate, you understand, a procurement process in terms of 100,000 to 1 million or from 3 million to 10 million to the fact that the signature is already attached. people, this is serious in terms of what we are hearing now. But me could go and listen. Me only try to explain it for further understanding, for me to understand what I want.
Chair.
The forms that would have been signed, who would have had custody of those forms? Would that be the procurement department at the University Hospital?
It would have been the Department of Material and Contracts, and that department maintain a relationship with the custom broker, who is an agent of the hospital that facilitate the importation of goods for the hospital. So that department inside of the university administrative machinery would have managed that process.
And could you indicate, in terms of frequency, how regularly would those forms be used to bring in stuff on behalf of the hospital? Is this a weekly, monthly? How frequent would it be?
It is a regular thing, Chair, weekly, as long as we are importing items for the hospital use. Those it's a part of the documentary process, so it would be required.
Okay. Members, are there any questions on this topic that you'd like to ask Mr. Allen? Yes, Member Bunton.
I'm a little concerned, perhaps because of the time I spent in the.
Yes, I wanted to listen to also Peter Bunting questions the level of probity that Peter Bunting, right, is going to utilize, and you're going to hear some of the things that come out.
Financial sector about signing blank documents or blank checks, because there's always a high risk of that. Was there no way that that authority could have been delegated to somebody who had, who was closer to the action, so to speak, so that this practice of signing blank documents could have been avoided? Couldn't the board, yourself or the board, have delegated that authority to procurement head, for example?
In hindsight, probably, sir, but in operating at that level, there is some amount of trust. This is not a blank check. This is not a declaration. It's a document used for internal processes. It is managed by senior persons within the organization. And so I'm wondering, after a year or whatever that I have left the organization, why it would have been used. But
that's a very serious concern as it relates to what the former CEO is saying. The former CEO is now wondering, why would that be so? That after a year that he left, they would have still been utilized those blank document with his signature. He is wondering as to why that would have taken place. Now listen, people, I can play on.
It's something that the current management need to look at and to implement additional controls.
I agree with you. What you say is a matter of trust, but if you trust someone to use your signature at their discretion and prudently, then you should trust them enough to delegate the authority to them. What you have now is responsibility without authority, and using your authority without your knowledge, which seems a very dangerous practice to me. But I know you're gone now, but I would commend to, or let me put it a little more than commendation. Let me ask Mr. Hosid if that practice continues at UA, of the CEO signing forms in blank, some whether internal or external documentation, and then trusting that one of your managers or supervisors will use it correctly?
Absolutely not. During my term, I've never done any blank signing of anything.
Let me just ask, in terms of the process for importing items, the CEO has to sign off on those. Well, you can indicate during your time. Would the CEO have to sign off on all items that were being brought in on behalf of the university? Or, for example, could the head of procurement sign off on some up to a certain amount, and then others would have to come to you as the CEO at the time?
The system is, Chair, is that the document that is in question, it is used for internal purpose only. When you are importing items, the declaration, the head of entity is normally required to sign off on that. And those are not signed blank. You have all the documentation before you, the checks and balances.
So people, you hear that? What the CEO, this former CEO is saying, that it ought not to happen, period. Because the CEO is there to provide oversight and ensuring, as it relates to the procurement processes, dotting all the I's and dotting all the T. And when that CEO satisfied that all the procedures followed, then that is when that signature is supposed to affix. So look at the level of corruption, because I am going to ask some very serious question, very serious question. So to have that going on over here after the CEO left is to show you the high level of abuse as it relates to taxpayers' monies being taken out under fabrication, that proper oversight was done based on the signaturette of the former CEO who is not active. This is serious. I am going to ask some question. Because I'll wait until him finish. Hold on there. Just wait until him finish.
Would have been made throughout the system come up, and then you would sign off on it with everything in front of you. So that is how it works. And also, a copy of the signature would also be sent to customs so they can match it as well.
At this time, the Commissioner of Police, right, and the relevant authority need to go in and do some investigation where this is concerned, and people need to be arrested and charged accordingly. If the DPP, right, is protecting the interest of taxpayers, this is a particular case where the DPP also needs to probe. But as I said, I am going to ask some very serious question. Let us listen.
And the declaration itself, Chair.
Okay. So the form that would have been signed would have facilitated the commencement of the procurement process. You need to, don't turn off your mic. Just keep it on. Keep it on. So I don't need to. So the form would have facilitated the commencement of the process. But once what you're saying is once you actually get to the point now of importing the goods or whatever it is, then the CEO would have to sign off on that another set of documents as head of entity.
Correct, Chair.
Okay. All right, I have Member Miller and then Member Copperfield.
Mr. Allen, have you had sight of the particular forms that were used that is in question?
I don't understand that question.
The form, is it say form C85?
Yeah.
That were used to import the items for the entities in question. Have you had sight of those forms since?
Since I've left the organization?
Yes, the forms that.
No, madam.
What kind of, hold on.
I'm curious.
What sort of question is that? What sort of question is this? This is a stupid question, because the person is no more a part of the institution. So he doesn't have any access. So to be asking a question like this, you understand, I am totally surprised that such a question, you understand, is asked of him. If he has any knowledge, he no longer works there. He no longer works there. His authority has been abused to the fact that, you understand, his signature, right, on those blank documents being utilized without the man's knowledge. So why you ask a question like that? Why ask a stupid question like that? Sure.
But Baron, you know, listen to him. My question to him would be, when was he made aware of his name still being used in those documents?
That's the question, Sister Maria. That's the question. But we're going to listen some more.
At one of these committee meetings, Customs did say they were investigating to see whether or not it is in fact your signature. So that is what I'm trying to find out, whether or not it is in fact your signature, or is it forged? Somebody would have forged your signature to use.
I cannot speak to that, madam. What I recall in the process, as I've mentioned before, that these forms are for internal purpose only. It does not instruct a movement of anything. I cannot speak to forgery or anything of that nature, because I'm not close to it. I don't know.
I find it concerning that you would have said earlier that it was a blank document, and you said it very confidently that a blank document was signed, that you would have signed blank documents. To me, sound to me like you're accepting responsibility for those same forms with certainty that that's the same blank document that was used.
I'm not here to carry the committee wide or to be misleading or to try to be to try some tricks. The usual operation of what we do, but then with those forms for internal purpose, it's just to cross-check the invoice and the bill of lading. It does not trigger importation or anything. So I'm not sure what you're saying, but we did a couple of those forms were signed for emergency purpose, and it is what it is. So I'm not sure what you're saying, madam.
Well, here is a problem. Because if signing those forms, right, doesn't trigger the end process as it relates to importing goods, the Auditor General, right, is now speaking to the contrary, where that is concerned, right? And where we have millions of dollars unaccounted for. Now we have a problem with this, right? Because you are saying that it ought not to use in the end process simple means as it relates to importing the goods in, right? Only can use for checks and balance. But based on what we have here is that these forms was actually used on the end process. So this is a serious problem. Let us listen.
Don't play on it as yet. I have a problem with his nonchalant approach to these questions.
Yes.
It is what it is. Now, somebody, okay, you leave an organization and your signature is still being used in that organization after you left. You would be livid given what the Auditor General's report has revealed to date. Yes. That would incense any well-meaning Jamaican whose integrity is on the line for this. And I see where MP I see where her line, the context of her question, because is that the customs of was made aware of this. So did he see it after the fact, what the customs was talking about, to verify that of a truth, it was his signature?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? But his nonchalant attitude was like, it is what it is. This is serious. This is your name that is on the line.
It's
and the idea, it is serious. And the idea that an organization like UHWI can have a department where you have signed blank, what do you call it?
Documents, C85
documents. Signed blank documents to procure whatever on the behalf of the UH. That is irresponsible. That should be done after the fact. Because anybody, as we have seen, anybody can order anything for anybody because it's already signed for. So they can say, oh yes, the head of department signed for it already, so go ahead and do it. So that is reckless. And for him to have this nonchalant approach to it, it's like he's not even, I don't know if he's rattled by all of this, because they should have changed it from the get-go. The minute he walks out the door, everything should be changed. His email should be changed. You shouldn't have access to it. All of that should be changed. So I don't understand how it is after a year, his signature is still on documents being used in such a way.
Yes.
It shows that he was a laissez-faire CEO, free for all.
Yes.
Let us
yes.
more, and because I want to ask some serious questions here.
How do you know for certain that those were the forms that were used?
It would have to be because his signature was on it, right?
During the audit, I did get a call from a member of the Auditor General informing me that my signature appeared on some items, and he would want to have a further meeting with me to look at it, but that meeting never materialized.
All right, from out of the horse's mouth, he's confirming now that the end process of the procurement was done, where items were purchased and his signature on it. This is serious. This is serious, sir. Because you are saying that, okay, this signing of document will not be effective at the end process in bringing in the items. However, what the Auditor General is saying to you, that procurement was done, items come in, and your signature was on it.
Yeah.
For internal use, not for external.
Right? So then, and this is why the Commissioner of Police, the DPP, have to investigate this, and persons who need to be arrested need to be arrested. Now let us listen.
But hold on there, Mystic.
Yes.
Listen to me, man. This is something that can cause, and that has caused people their freedom. This is not something to play with. Because signing a blank document, you're basically signing away your life. You're signing away your rights. You are condoning, you're justifying whatever is written, filled in on that blank document. You are co-signing that. You are saying, yes, I have knowledge of this.
Yes.
See, Elaine Turner said, blank documents must not be pre-signed. It's live signing. Exactly. It's like signing a blank check. Exactly. So I don't see how he cannot be. And again, back to the MP's question. She was asking him the question, which he's now just answering.
Yes.
That yes, he got a call. So that's why she's asking, did you see the document after yes, you have left after a year and your signature was being used at that time. But did you see to confirm whether or not this was your signature? And he's now saying he got a call, but he did not. And he also said that he saw some things, but he did not get to sit down with the Auditor General. He's not serious, because an Auditor General call you like that, Baron, a normal person. and say they have documents with your signature on it, and you are no longer employed to that agency, you will be flying up there with fire in your tail to go and have a sit down to clear your name.
But Sister Maria, this is the question that I'm going to ask. After this man leave and the HR send out a memo, right, in asking the institution to ensure that this man's name removed from all documents, right? Now, tell me now, the permanent secretary, right, would have been aware of this communication, because it's the permanent secretary again who is going to deal with receivables and payouts. You know what I'm saying? So then now, let me ask, Dunstan Bryan would have privy of that email. So then the question that I'm asking, why would Dunstan Bryan would be signing off on these documents knowing to the fact that that man's signature was not supposed to be affixed on those processes? So Maria, this is very serious.
It is serious. And
you have a memo that's sent out within the internal organization that, okay, Mr. X is no longer a part of us, right? And so then his authority no more, right, deals with whatever. So then remove, right, anything that has to do with his name. Okay, if that being communicated, why they still use it, Sister Maria? And why the permanent secretary would have still signed off for items, you understand, to come into the country using this man's signature?
But Baron and Anne-Marie, do you realize that this points to a bigger problem?
This is serious.
That whomever processed that document with his signature on it, knowing full well that he is no longer there, tells me that this is just how they operate. That's how they do business. Because whomever is processing the document should point out to the CEO or the head of which department that it is responsible for the procurement, should point out to them that we cannot do this because he's no longer here. This needs a proper signature. So you see a breakdown in accountability in the agency itself, where somebody can be out of an agency for over a year and his signature is still being used on documents, blank or not. Somebody, whomever processed that, is also culpable because they know that he's no longer there. So this is, in my opinion, their modus operandi. This is how they conduct business. This is their usual way of doing business. He's not there, so what? And you're telling me that nobody in the agency within that year and a half or however long it was pointed out to Mr. Allen that, your name is still being used on these documents?
So again, I want to ask Maria, then Christopher Tufton totally oblivious of this situation?
That makes no sense.
That means Christopher Tufton is not running as it relates to being the Minister of Health. Christopher
Tufton is the Minister of Public Relations, not the Minister of Health.
So this is serious. All right, let us listen some more, honey, on that.
And I just go by what is out there in the public domain.
And it is in reference to your signature, you accept that it is your signature without seeing the particular document?
I'm aware of the process and what might have happened, and that is the only document that instance may happen. That is the only document that instance may happen. And so I'm saying that is the only document that may happen. And it was done to facilitate emergency process of documents that are goods that are on the wall, to be clear.
Member Miller, hold 1 second. The Auditor General wants to intervene at this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, so I want to establish that the information that we have in the report, we got that from the ASCODA system, which is custom system. Based on what Mr. Allen is saying here, he's speaking to the letter, the concession letter. But it appears that Mr. Allen does not know that his signature is on a C-84 form that is dated the 25th of November, 2023. Mr. Allen declared here just now that he left in 2022.
Yeah.
And it is for that reason why I think there was that outreach to speak to you to clarify this. Okay. This information we got from Jamaica Customs.
Right.
So, Mr. Allen, it is what is before us is more than just a form for internal purposes. This would be a form that would have.
So hold on there before we take this caller. So clearly, Jamaica, we are hearing that it's not only used on the C-85 farm, which is internal. It is signature also used on a C-84 farm. So what this is telling me now, this is telling me some forgery is taking place. His signature now being forged. So this is extremely serious. Let me take this call. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation. Go ahead.
Good night, Mr. Mystic. Keep burning the fire.
Good night, my dear.
Miss Ann. Good night, Miss Magazine. No.
Good night, my love.
This man, I don't totally believe this man is speaking all the truth. They are all together responsible.
I believe that too. I believe that too.
And yes, they are all together responsible. And Tufton must be interviewed too. Why? He's the Minister of Health. He's trying to take himself from everything. He should know that all these things are happening. And he knows. He must be questioned too. And I hope they know that. Auditor General, the fraud squad in Jamaica, the DPP, all of them must come on board and do a thorough investigation into this matter. They are covering for each other. Now, this man, this is fraud, you know. This is fraud.
Fraud, forgery, and everything.
Yes, and he knows that his name was attached to those documents and that anything could happen. What he should have done, those paperwork, he should take them with him when he's leaving and then he trash those. Right?
Exactly.
They should not be left behind, right? He left them behind for a reason. Of course he left them behind. I like the questioning that the lady there is questioning him.
But hold on the caller.
Like how she's praising her
Hold on, caller.
questions.
Hold on, caller. Because based on what we are getting, caller, he misled the House in saying that his signature was only affixed to C-85 document that deals with internal processes. But no, as it relates to the Auditor General is saying, no, that is not correct. Also, your signature was affixed to C-84.
So she got it from the customs office, Baron. She got it from the customs.
The custom office. So this is serious, my sister. Go ahead.
Very, very serious, very unscrupulous behavior. Unscrupulous behavior they sit there and carry on with and bring this whole university system down. And they must be held accountable. They must not walk away. This must be history committed in Jamaica that they pay for what they have done. And Christopher Tufton is included. He's the head of the Ministry of Health. How could he not know this? But he himself is a damn criminal too.
Huh?
You understand me? Yes. And I hope the DPP do our work, you know. She now get paid for us, gotta go sit down, you know. I hope she don't in a Andrew pocket neither, you know. Because we are gonna deal with this, you know. Mystic, we must not let this go. She cannot sit there and not doing her job. We're going to be on she too. We're going to be on you. And Auditor General, carry on the fire. And the police, the CIB investigative branch of the JSA must step in and do their job duly too.
Agreed.
It cannot go like this. I don't believe what this man is saying right now.
Well, sister.
How do you not know that his signature is there? And people are using the documents and are fixing things. He must be held accountable. He must be held accountable the direction of his duties. Thank you, Mr. Mystic.
You're more than welcome. Now, this
Mystic, one correction I have to what the caller just said. He shouldn't take any documents from his office that's not his. Anything in his office is the responsibility and must always be in the office of the agency. It's not his to take home. What should have happened is that those documents, that specific blank thing document that he signed should have been shredded. He shouldn't have it to take home, and it should not be left in a drawer somewhere. It should not be on an email, because even his email password should have been changed. Any access to the email, his work email, everything should be changed, and anything connecting him to the agency should have been, scuttled in the minute he resigned and he walked out the door. He's no longer an employee there. So anything to do with the agency, he's no longer a part of. So I don't see how it is he can sit and be so nonchalant about his signature being used, in any way, and not expect that it's going to be used nefariously. Then I'm wondering, given his behavior, people can deduce all kinds of things from interpret all kinds of things from his behavior.
But we could also ask, did he benefit did he benefit from it? I don't know.
Any questions can be asked.
Right?
Yeah.
And judging to the fact now that this is serious, and he is, you understand, misleading the house in saying that his signature only affixed to C85, which used internally. Let me just go to the caller. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Please go ahead.
Good night, Mystic, Mama Mystic, Magazine, all of the other fellows.
Good night, my dear.
I have a skepticism, as Miss Magazine is saying, about his demeanor.
Yes.
The answering of his question. For example, he did confirm that he get a call from the IC, or for the Auditor General, to confirm if he knew that his signatures is showing up on documents after 1.5 years. He did confirm, yes, he get the call. After that, lady was asking him, well, if it's only, and he was adamant it's only one process he knows of internal.
Yes.
No, this is where he is complicit.
Here you go.
Yes.
Custom officer, just as I waited, because I was like, where are we going to connect the dots here, as Miss Magazine is saying? When the Auditor General interrupted and stepped in and said, it's on the other custom duty form that it procured the goods. It is on it. They called him to verify, because he admitted from his own mouth that there was a verification process of his signature on the custom form.
That's correct.
If you recall, if you listen carefully, he confirmed that is there. And when the Customs Department called, because a red flag came up, because if he gone 1.5 years from the position, it's not possible to use that document because the man not in the position anymore. How is it possible they would use the same signature and call to confirm his signature when he's not there? Don't they know that he's not there?
But sister, hold on, sister. Let me ask you a question. Since the Human Resource Director would have sent out a memo, right, regarding him, right, demits office, and his signature is to remove from all document. Now, I am saying, going forward, wouldn't that the permanent secretary would have been complicit to the fact that the permanent secretary would have been shared on the communication and that group email, right, and would have been aware? So if the permanent secretary signing any signature for paying outs or whatever, isn't that the permanent secretary would have also guilty of this level of corruption? What say you on it?
That's what I use the word complicity, because even the custom office, because if the red flag come up, did they get a verification after 1.5 years? Did they get a verification? They didn't. Unless somebody inside the custom office are working, the whole of them are work together, they are them group, or they set of them, or you call them clique. We're working together. Think about it, Mystic.
You're 100% right. This is the clique.
Verification, they knew something was wrong. A red flag came up. That's one. He confirmed. That's two. As you said, the secretary, that's the permanent secretary. First thing before she sign off, everybody eyes and T, cross and dotted.
Yes.
So to pay out them the big kind of money. Was it an emergency procurement? And even as him said it in a mouth to say emergency procurement was his signature, them use outside of internal if it is procurement. Listen to the man. The man tie up himself. He threw them all out there.
Yes.
No wonder Eli Clark was losing it, PMSing, because the other lady or the other person that came in, when him accosted, she did it. We need to hear that side of what he was quarreling today, said, and then Cousins called him gross and blatant hypocrisy. When the lady was there, they all asked the woman the question, and then after the person gone now, them come having a meltdown. So there you go, that bunting after shut him down. So the whole of them complicit, Mystic.
This is serious.
It was a clique of them.
So since we have this now and all of this exposed, we are asking what the DPP is going to do about this. The various investigative branch, what are they going to do about this? Because you have clear signs of possible forgery, right? Fraud for certain, right? And they need to be investigated, arrested, and be prosecuted. This is extremely serious.
Look at the trend. Look at the trend. Look at the. You are an investigative person.
Yes.
I've listened to you, Mystic, over and over. Look at it. From him to even customs needed verification of his signature.
Exactly.
Come back down that even the auditor general said, and just found where then call upon you, maybe you left from 2022 and 2023, there was your signature on this custom document, which is what? A big red flag. And you still carry through and process it, and then the place out of so much billions of dollars or millions of dollars. Come on now.
No, this is serious.
Head needs to roll.
Because guess what?
Needs to roll.
People at the people at the customs would have been complicit as well. Oh, the caller just dropped off. Oh, jeez. Sorry about that caller. The caller.
It's her thing.
Okay. So I am saying, right, caller, it seems like a drop off, right? If anything, and you want to call back, you're free to call back. Now, I am saying that this is extremely serious, Jamaica. So we are going to listen in some more, because this.
But before you move on there, Byron, before you move on, what about the chain of command? Because in this situation, you have, it's not just signed off and sent. You know, there's a chain of command. There are people above him. So I'm wondering, you know, how did this go on for such a long period of time without anybody coming forward and saying, no, this is unacceptable. He's no longer here. We cannot use this form, and putting the right signature. Or was his signature outright forged on these documents?
But even so,
and if that is so, he can sue the UHWI for that.
Well, but I am seeing a level of, you know, complicit. Right.
Yes, complicity on everybody's part. Yeah.
Various sections of this thing here, customs, right, and plus UHWI. So it seems like you have a syndicate of people who lack the turf, and them know say, well, all right, I saw the corruption I go, and them are protect it and protect it, including Christopher Tufton, would have been aware, and including the permanent secretary Dunstan Brown. So this now goes back to Dunstan Brand. This is very serious. And that is one of the reasons why Dunstan Brand had taken away himself. This is the reason now why Dunstan Brand had taken away himself. So investigation need to go in, interrogation need to be done. Let us listen some more and get into the meat. Yes, honey, play that, make us bite in some more.
Authorized or certainly given customs the authority to act based on a signature, believing that this is the chief accountable officer of the university hospital. So it would be more than just the internal document that would go to the procurement department with your signature.
Chair, in that case, I don't know how my signature will reach on that document. I would not have signed such a document upon my departure.
Okay. This is now strong confirmation out of his mouth telling Jamaica his signature being forged.
Forged, yeah.
This is it. Confirmation, evidence. Let us listen more.
So I don't know anything about that transaction whatsoever. So I am clueless where that is concerned, Chair.
What you know, Sister Maria, people need to go to jail. People need to go to jail, Sister Maria. Make me listen some more. It'll get hot.
All right, and that is, I believe, where the member was going in terms of her questioning.
Yes.
Because as the Auditor General has said, that is a document that would have come directly from customs. Member Cuthbert-Finn?
I'm a little bit clearer, but I just want to be clear. Thank you so much, Chairman. Mr. Allen, I guess I want to be clear. So that means the form that you signed was just for internal purposes. The form that you did sign in advance, just for emergency, was for internal purposes only.
Yes, madam.
However, the form that we're talking about, that is not a form that you had signed and left.
No, madam. So
how did your signature reach on those forms?
I don't know. I cannot explain that. I don't know.
A year after you left.
I am not a member.
Very good probing questions from Juliet Cuthbert. What Juliet Cuthbert had just taken out of this gentleman for him now to say that he's totally oblivious. Hold on, let me just answer this caller because this is serious. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation. Please go ahead. Okay. So what Juliet Cuthbert, excellent question. I must give Juliet Cuthbert that because I would have asked the very same questions. So I'm giving Juliet Cuthbert kudos on that level of probity. And where he had now confirmed to the entire world that his signature had been forged. This required investigation. This required now the DPP, right, to definitely engage with this case, right? Some level of investigation needs to be done and to find out who are the persons who are responsible to now forge these documents, right? Breaching the procurement guidelines and everything. Now, this is extremely serious and partially now stealing taxpayers' money. This is serious. This is backside serious. So we're not left this alone. We're not left this alone.
Of the team, I have not participated in the management of the organization. I don't know.
Backside, a whole heap of people him send a jail now, you know. A whole heap of people him send a jail now, you know.
I have a problem with his nonchalant demeanor, you know.
Okay, thank you.
I think that, given what you have said, it requires, because there were initially an assumption that the documents that would have been signed, quote unquote, blank, were documents that customs would have had access to. You had said all the documents that may have been signed by you were solely for
Let me put you on here.
internal
Hold on,
purposes,
hold on,
but
hold on,
not.
hold on. Let me put you on here. Hold on, stop that. Let me just have the caller speak to us. Right. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I say when you don't qualify for your job, because you see him conduct interviews, says not a man who qualify for your CEO position.
Talk about things, then,
right? So when you give a person a job where him not qualify for, you can't use him any way you need to. You can't tell him sign 15 paper, give me.
So hold on there. So what you say? Him coming like a Gugu Gaga in a Nara?
Yeah, man, just like where that woman a PETITION where Andrew them in put a PETITION take out the qualified person and give somebody with us have three little subject and go and run a PETITION where you need a master's for. See right now down a solid rate you have a youth with 3 CXC I get over $1 million a month. So you do these things and put these people them not qualify. So when you get them, when you put them in them a press button, you can't do them anything where they want. You know, so them, you can have your name on papers, on blank paper. Who do that?
Exactly.
What a bangarang is, sir?
No, by the way, I've said no put their name on blank paper and no say you can't put them in a trouble. You can't do whole person and say yes, him sign to it. You can't do anything you want and say yes, the CEO sign to it.
Well, I mean, if you are doing that, right, all what we need to do, add couple zeros and make it go in a million.
And you honest and tough and then pick some little luckies and whims where they can press button and all the way they do. Even the boy are solid ways. I think that the million got to him a month time. Maybe you get 1,300,000 out of it.
True.
You respect to them.
True.
So them just use them. Yeah, so him now, you look at I just see how he look. You not even you look panel in here. He just come like a one man tree man, a hockey tree.
But this is a high level of criminality. It's called doggery. You understand nepotism and cronyism. This is what we are getting here.
Man, we in a problem, you know.
What do you mean if we in a problem?
Problem, you know. Because you see, if we did narrow sign, we in a double problem, you know, man.
Well,
because this a man here walk around and tell people how well the country and recover, you know, man, when the man now even look on Westmoreland side, you know.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, see, you see, Birchell, them have walk a big like them blind.
Mighty goodness. All right, Carla.
And look, all right. May I touch one look up some Babsy Green? Look on Babsy Green now.
Yeah, man, we are going to deal with that too.
Look on Babsy Green now, I'll tell you how the woman make woman shame. Even though see when they speak at the house at in the house.
Babsy Green.
Even though see much gunman they catching a vehicle them. You know, so much car gunman when they kill with the name a fee car them a drive.
Come on, Babsy Green.
And you tell me say something when me do something verbal. Where you go tell him, first thing the woman is very intelligent. The woman make sure him not talking in a parliament. Kind of this Juliet could have tell him say him have to take it back and him have to apologize and him have to do that.
Yes.
He could have instruct her if she says in a parliament. You notice when she attacks, she say, I did not say it in parliament.
Exactly.
So me free.
Exactly.
Me I say I road.
Exactly. Exactly.
So when them make up their nice, look what things they do.
Then can go and talk.
Look on Dalrymple. Dalrymple have 8 count of corruption and him in a parliament sit down.
Bet.
And you don't see nothing wrong with that, but you see somebody will say something.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, so somebody will just make a speech, an interview, and him you want charge. And everybody find problem with it. Look on AJ Nichols. When Johnson in a parliament I said AJ Nichols say me not go rape him. And when Mr. Brown says show the document, show the text message them, right? When they still I defend George right, right? And when they start show the documents them, nothing not in there. Where show say man are you in any argument? The man in a parliament I think aloud and I say
The man said, this a rape, that a real rape. That a when them talk about the brother with the pilot where they rape a 12-year-old. And the man said, that a rape, that a real rape. You say him, you, the man attack. And when them play the clip down and see say, where man I say, no, the argument just dead, poof. And of them say, when I come and chat to people, you know.
Lie.
Thank you, sir.
All right, blessings, my brother. All right, cool.
Yeah, man.
All right, let us get back in this high level of corruption, because this is serious enough, and we are not going to leave this alone, right? We need justice to be done. Now, let us get back into this. Yeah.
1 second, not that one. This one.
To trigger the procurement of goods through customs. So, given that you have said categorically that you didn't sign those documents, then it raises other questions about how your signature, if it was your signature, or how a signature appearing to be one like yours, came to be on those documents. And in relation to again, from a perspective of frequency, the is it the C85 form? From your recollection, how, or whatever the number is, that particular form, how often or at what regularity would you have signed a document during your incumbency as CEO?
Chair, that would have been probably about weekly or in some instance, probably every 2 weeks or so. You'll get some to look at, Chair.
Okay. Member Corporate, when you want to say something?
I think I just want, I'm sure, well, this is an ongoing investigation that's going on. So I'm sure the fraud squad was brought in to make sure that the signature, whether it was forged or not, to see if that was something that happened.
All right, I am happy that they are talking about the fraud squad now. You understand? On this matter, investigating. So we are anticipating that investigation, and we will be following up on that to understand an outcome, because the CEO clearly admitted to Jamaica that he knows nothing pertaining to his signature affixed to the C84 document that deals with procurement of goods coming into the country. This has nothing to do with C85 document that deals with internal situation and emergency situation. So we are talking about two things here. One, C85 that deal with internal processes that the former CEO is admitting that yes, his signatures was affixed to some of those, right? But however, right, upon leaving, right, the HR, the human resource director, right, sent out a memo, right, telling people not to use that signature, right, on which the permanent secretary, right, would have now been aware and would have been a part of the chain of the email. Now, this is a different situation as it relates to C84. C84 is now serious. A forgery has been done. Okay, let us go ahead.
I think it's going to be very important to make sure that the fraud squad looked at the signature on that particular form to see if it was forged or not, because you're saying that you did not sign those forms after you left, a year after you left, for any purposes at all, right?
Correct, madam.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
In relation to, and I'm moving on, I don't think we can get any further on this particular matter. But I think it would require, we know there are other agencies that are doing investigations there. In relation to at a meeting prior to this, it was indicated that the university hospital did not have its own TCC, because of outstanding obligations to the tax authorities. During your incumbency as CEO,
to the fact that I'm satisfied, right, to learn that other investigative bodies, right, now will be doing their investigation, right, because I am just going through, right, the clip as it is. But to learn that, you understand, I'm quite comfortable that, you know, investigation as it relates to, right, the forgery and fraud, right, other entities are looking into it. What say you, Sister Maria, before we move on?
That Andrew Holness has a history of employing people who are just yes men. So he fires the qualified persons who know how to do their jobs and appoint yes people who don't know what it is that they're doing. You look at FID, the Financial Investigation Division, and they changed the requirements, qualification requirement for that position, so he can appoint his riding buddy. And what has come up with the investigation is nothing. You look at ODPEM. The expert was fired for a yes man. What has happened as a result of that? The people that suffered Hurricane Melissa victims have not been able to get resources or get any help, tangible help that will help them as if this new hurricane season has started. Nothing has happened, and that goes back to Beryl. So this lies squarely at the foot of the Prime Minister, who keeps firing qualified people and hiring yes men and lackeys. But it leads me to a bigger question. How many ministries and agencies are operating the same way as the UHWI right now, where you have unsigned documents where people can just do what they want? And when you look at how much money has been misappropriated, this is how it happens. This is how it happens, because people can just buy whatever they want, do whatever they want, because there's no system of accountability that is in place. And there's no serious investigation to make sure this kind of thing is cauterized to stop it from happening in the future.
Yes, certainly so, Sister Maria. All right. Are you finished, Sister Maria?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sister Maria, what we want to go into now, a little saga as it relates to Babsy Grange.
Lord.
Let us address, let us visit, right, Muma Tegareg, and hear what Muma Tegareg has to say, because this is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Listen here, Jamaican people. Listen here. Come here. Make hear what Babsy say.
And so when I see the behavior of this young lady, I'm appalled, I'm disgusted.
Families, the look where Cliff user give her, in my assumption, he must say, you know, remember the 2004 incident? Isn't that this?
I'm going to big up ABR. People want to subscribe to ABR because ABR click this, you know. People want to subscribe to ABR, want to touch up ABR, you understand? Make sure you endorse ABR, right? So big up ABR anyway, you're the sister.
Disgusting. Blessings, ABR family and viewers. Welcome back to the channel. It's a girl and Isabel Rose. And in this one, another female minister runs out on Nikisha Burchell. So when we think say them they done, them just a come. The minister expressed her disgust at Nikisha Burchell. But may I wonder if this minister remember back in 2004. We're going to refresh our memory. We're going to drag our memory. As well as coming up in this, Dr. Alfred Dawes sets the record straight and update here on the shortages of staff at the Kingston Public Hospital that's leaving the accident and emergency, operating in a emergency only mode. Please stay tuned for the details at hand. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hype up the videos as well, please and thanks. So, Jamaicans, after Nikisha Burchell, who is the MP for South St. James, made her statement on a podcast, all of a sudden, all of the women on the government side took an issue with it, leaving from their busy schedule as ministers, getting ministerial funds as well as MP funds. They're collecting millions. They find time to give Nikisha Burchell more popularity. She ruffled their feathers so much because she spoke of their idol. She spoke of their master, Juliet Olness, in referencing that she operates the house as if it's someone who wants to control a family or control her husband. After Favour Williams run out, after Juliet Cuthbert Flynn run out, and after Kamina Johnson, with all the turmoil we are going in the international space, them find the time for come out. Right? Now, lo and behold, we're seeing another minister. The Minister of Culture, Babsy Grange, run out, speaking of how disgusted she is. 4 of them now run out, and the 4 of them that ran out don't make 1 drop of sense. The 4 of them that ran out have skeletal in a them closet. But hear what she say. And I want you to pay special and close attention to how Cliff Hughes is looking at her. And right after I play the clip, I'm going to drop my take on what I, assume is thinking. Anybody can drop a guess before when I listen to the end of this clip and tell me what thing Cliff Hughes are thinking in mind when he look upon her in the manner at which he look upon her.
It's like you go in court, you can't tell the judge he's wrong. You have to respect his position. And so when I see the behavior of this young lady, I'm appalled, I'm disgusted, and I'm saying to myself that once you enter politics, your organization should give you some training and let you know what is becoming of you as a representative of the people and what is unbecoming. And so I think that she has overstepped. She has, to me, she has embarrassed us as women empowerment.
Robbie.
And I really think that her leader should sit with her and say, hold on, lady, this is not how you conduct yourself as a member of parliament.
Families.
No, let us stop that for a while. Let me just have the caller speak to us, and then we make our comment on this. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Please go ahead.
Good night, Father Mystic, and to your panel.
Bless up yourself, my brother.
Good night.
I don't think you should get so excited, so soon, because remember that the former finance minister had said that the same thing about bringing in people from the US to investigate what. So I don't think we should get excited as yet.
Yeah, point well taken.
Because this is just a part of the process. We know that they are corrupt to the core.
Yes.
And this goes back to show a lot of people would be asking, why is it that the people in the country is so silent, and why there is no outrage why the people hasn't taken to the street as yet. You know, they know what they were doing.
Yes.
And what they did, remember that these people does things strategically. And they already anticipate that people would be outraged when the people find out what they are doing. So what they did was to go into the community, and people of influence, they take them out. And so you see a lot of unaliving has been going on, taking place. You have people, a lot of police getting promotion just before the election, and we see what happened. We hear people, I hear about police taking off with ballot boxes and all of that stuff. So you know, it's just
toxic.
It's just toxic. It's just a shame to see what's really going on, you know. And I'm just hoping that something will come about. I understand that Marvin Edgar had a petition out there that he's asking for signature. I did sign, and I'm just encouraging the rest of people to sign it up, you know, sign to see because we need to take out these people by any and all means. I don't mean to go use violence, any kind of violence or anything against them, but I mean anything legally, we need to get them out. Thank you for your time, sir.
You're blessed, my brother. Bless up yourself.
Yes, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Same to you. Bye. All right. So let us address the situation as it relates to what Babsy Grange just said, right? Because she you know, use an example to say, when you go to court, you can't tell the judge she's wrong, right? And, you know, claim that, you know, Nikisha overstepped, right, and embarrassed all females in parliament. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? We have never heard Nikisha name mix up with any criminal. Never. And where we have that came out in a report where a gunman got killed and the car that the gunman got killed in registered to Babsy Grange. Registered to Babsy Grange. Isn't that disgraceful? Isn't that disgraceful? But I don't want to go down there. Look at Juliet's behavior. Look at this. And let me remind the behavior of Juliet, right, when Juliet needs to table the report. Right? Isn't that disrespectful? In terms of Juliet holding onto the report and don't want to table it. So then what is it that Babsy Grange is talking about? This is just crazy, my Jamaican people. Just crazy. Right? Okay, so we have that. We have.
Let me try it again. It didn't load.
Okay, so that we have that information. So we just can, you know, deal with it verbatimly, right? In terms of what we know that she suppressed the document. Okay, let us just move on to. We are going to go into what we call some geopolitics. And
yeah, one second there, before you move on. Babsy Grange, if you go sit down.
Oh, yes.
And stop talking about, go sit down and stop talking about she basically is a disgrace to all women. No, she's not. Because I'm yet to hear Babsy Grange come out and talk about George Wright beating a woman with stool. He was sitting in the parliament with her. I'm yet to hear her talk about Buju, who was murdered by the police. I'm yet to hear her talk about, okay, this is about Nikisha Burchell. Charles Sinclair Jr. and Homer Davis spoke so disparagingly about Nikisha Burchell. Where was Babsy Grange to come out and say to them that you cannot do that? It is unacceptable behavior. It is misogynistic of you to speak that way about this young woman. Where was she to come out and say that? right? She talk about, her organization must bring in these young people and train them. Did the JLP train Juliet Onis, the hooligan, the sketel, the vireg, or the tegreg, and tell her that as a speaker, she must know how to conduct herself, that she cannot conduct herself in such a manner? Did they do that? Because Juliet just the other day said that she's learning to be fair. And if she lacks the capability of being an umpire, which is what the speaker is, then she should not have taken the position. Did she come out and talk about Dalrymple? And the cook that Dalrymple is that is sitting in the parliament. Babsy Grange has no moral ground on which to stand to say anything to Nikisha Burchell. And this is what people need to understand. Stop with this bullshit about, because she's a woman and Juliet is a woman. Nobody's attacking Juliet Onis because she's a woman. People are attacking her behavior in the parliament. And we must stop behaving like because she's a woman, she must get away with being disrespectful. Absolutely not. And this thing about Juliet Cuthbert had come out and said, when you look in the parliament, they're all men, the faces of men on the wall. No. What about Portia Simpson's face, the first female prime minister of the country? She broke the glass ceiling, not Juliet Onis. Violet Nielsen was the first female speaker of the house, not Juliet Onis. So no, there's nothing special about Juliet Onis because she's a woman. We need to come off of that bullshit. It's nonsense. We need to stop that. You have to call a spade, woman or man. Are you saying if she's as a woman, she slaps a man, she mustn't be punched in her face? She should be punched back. It's as simple as that. So we need to stop this nonsense about, she's a woman. Then let her conduct herself like a woman, decently, with respect for herself. She's demanding respect, but she's not giving it. She's in the parliament defending her husband. She's incapable of being fair and balanced because everything she takes personal because the attack is against her husband, her man. That's basically what is happening. So we need to come down off this high horse, labor at them to come up with this high horse where they're attacking anybody who speaks out against their administration. It's Andrew Hornets. When he was in opposition, if he was treated the way in opposition, the way he's treated, if he was being treated by the PNP, the way he's treating them now when he was in opposition, would he have become prime minister? No, he wouldn't have, because he wants no accountability and nobody must say anything. And the minute you say anything, you're labeled and you're targeted. This nonsense must stop. It must stop. And her being a woman does not absolve her from criticism. What she needs to do is conduct herself in the way the office demands. If she cannot conduct herself that way, then all she has to do is step aside, because I'm sure there are other people with a little more class and elegance and decency who will not bring the office into disrepute. The office is better than her. It's not about her. It's not about her.
Well said, Sister Maria. Now, Jamaica, let me say this before in terms of the subject matter that I am going to touch, because I have done some very deep investigation as it relates to the U.S. Navy Fourth Fleet, Southern Seas, right? The Nimitz that is now in Jamaica. And before I start this, let me just say this categorically clear. My constructive criticism is not to critique the United States in general. My constructive criticism is leveled at the Donald Trump's administration. I want to get that clear. The United States and Jamaica has been a long partnership. We have a lot of Jamaicans who are serving in the United States Army as we speak. So my comment tonight, right, is not to target United States generally in terms of where I am going. But as I said, based on the investigation that I have done, I am going to deal specifically as it relates to Donald Trump administration. Now, Jamaica, we know that the Nimitz being here is really a proxy, right, for other things. And what that signal is to send a message throughout the Caribbean, warning the Caribbean that any interest as it relates to strengthen Chinese and Russian influence in the Caribbean, United States is going to execute what we call the Monroe Doctrine. Plain and simple. I'm going to show you the evidence. The United States lining up to perch on Cuba has nothing to do with over 30 years of action as it relates to what the Cuban president was indicted for, to say that Americans were killed as it relates to the Cuban airspace. It has nothing to do with that. And I'm going to show you 100% solid evidence. But let us get into, as what they claim, right, the purpose of the US fleet. Let us look at that, because we are going to touch some very serious things tonight. All right. So this is the evidence, right?
In all its glory, docked in the Kingston Harbor at the Kingston Freeport Terminal on Monday. It's one of the largest aircraft carriers in the world, 1,092 feet long, 252 feet wide, and its height 244 feet.
It's about the height of a 23-story building. We displaced 97,000 tons, and we have 2 nuclear reactors that we use to propel this ship. We are one of the fastest ships in the Navy. Even though this ship is so huge, it's so much bigger than every other ship that we have, it's actually one of the fastest in the Navy. We can go 30 plus knots while underway. That's incredibly fast.
The USS Nimitz is 51 years old, first commissioned in 1975 and scheduled to be decommissioned in 2027. On the flight deck, a display of military might, reality, not the movies.
The flight deck here on the USS Nimitz is usually abuzz with activities. This aircraft behind me is actually an F-18, capable of launching bombs and missiles. And here on the flight deck, one aircraft can be launched every 2 minutes.
Here at Flight Deck Control, the Ouija board shows the full layout of what's on the flight deck. There's also a digital version.
Since news broke that the USS Nimitz was coming to Jamaica, there have been many questions. People have been talking about the timing, and people are trying to figure out why is it that the vessel is here in Jamaica.
The visit of the aircraft carrier comes days after former Cuban President Raul Castro was indicted in the United States on charges of conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals during a fatal attack on 2 planes in 1996. The presence of the USS Nimitz also comes at a time when the U.S. administration has intensified pressure on the Cuban regime. The issue was put to U.S. Charge d'Affaires Scott Renner.
This visit comes at a time when we see that the U.S. has increased its military presence in the Caribbean. There are concerns about that. Should Jamaica and the wider Caribbean region be concerned?
Really, what the Nimitz is here for today, and it'll be here all week, is really that collaboration and cooperation. It's really about those ties to Jamaica. And for example, the sailors, part of what they'll be doing here, besides experiencing Jamaican hospitality, is they'll be going out to schools, doing repairs at schools. They'll be football players and sports teams, and a lot of community projects as well.
So no need to fear the increased military presence in the Caribbean?
What the Nimitz is here for, really, is that working with Jamaica. It's about Jamaica this week.
Stop tell lie. Take him away. Stop tell lie. Because I want to know, as it relates to all those artilleries on the flight deck, right? Do you believe those artilleries is going to help the Jamaican in terms of painting schools? Huh? Those artilleries that you see on the flight deck, right? Those F-19 and all of that, you think that they are here to assist, right, in painting schools and running around and this and all of that? That's bulls. That's bulls. Now, let me get into some serious thing now. As I said, we are not targeting United States because, of course, United States is our, long-time partner, and that has not changed, right? Many Jamaicans, right, have their families in the United States, and many Jamaicans working in the United States, and we get our benefit, and the benefits work vice versa, right? Persons who are educated, persons who, technocrats, right? They share their skills and so forth, and it goes on and on in terms of dual benefit, right? Now, stop right there. Donald Trump administration as it relates to MAGA. What MAGA means? Make America great again. Donald Trump ideology based on Donald Trump Foundation and Donald Trump parents. They hate black people. That's no two way about that. They hate. They came off a foundation. They have high hatred as it relates to black people. No two way about that. I am going to prove it tonight. Now, MAGA, as it relates to Donald Trump philosophy, making America great again, simply means make America great again in the time of colonial time when America was doing rich on cotton, where black people used to work in the cotton fields, right? And America enriched themselves on the back of slaves. That was the greatest economic development for the United States, right? Constitutionalized slavery. So don't get it wrong. So the MAGA philosophy that they are preaching as it relates to what Donald Trump is saying, make America great again, Donald Trump is making a reference of that time. Why are you saying this, Mystic Sensation? Now, in the Navy, as we speak, Donald Trump policies is getting rid of black superior officers in the Navy as we speak. Donald Trump, right, policies as it relates to black people in the Navy, and if they are listening to me tonight, I am going to show you the document. Black people under Donald Trump administration, I'm speaking about Donald Trump administration, I am not talking about the United States. It is not so as it relates to the United States. Generally speaking, Donald Trump administration we are talking about, right? They decided that, look, no black people as it relates to the Navy must be promoted. Let me show evidence, number one. And on me say it, you understand, investigation that we have done and we are going to establish. Let us get into that. That is one of the first things that we want to crack. So for all those black soldiers, right? This is the New York Times. This is not Byron Mystic Times. This is not Mystic Sensation time. This is not Lady Mystic saying it. This is not Sister Anna Maria saying it. New York Times saying it. Right? So I am reading from New York Times. Now here it is. XX strikes female and black Navy officers from promotion list. So all of you black soldiers who are listening, you need to understand that this is the policy that is against you, and this is fundamentally wrong because your service, and I'm talking to all black people tonight, your service to the United States Army is important. You are important. But anyway, let me read this so that you can understand what is going on as it relates to the Donald Trump administration. Hexet strikes female and black Navy officers from promotion list. The Defense Secretary's decision to block the officers' promotions appears driven by his anti diversity stands rather than based on merit. This is what the investigation bringing forward. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth removal of at least 7 officers from the list appears to violate rules governing the promotion system according to current and former defense officials. In a move that disproportionately targets women and minority officers, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently blocked, you are talking about the Defense Secretary, as it relates to Donald Trump administration, blocked the promotions of 9 Navy officers who had been selected by a board of senior Navy admirals. The net result of Mr. Hegseth's intervention is a slate of 22 nominees to be 1-star admirals that bears little resemblance to the broader force these officers will help lead. Donald Trump don't want to see no black people in any leadership position. 3 of the officers removed by Mr. Hegseth from the promotion list are women and 2 are black men. An additional 4 are white men. Mr. Hegseth's actions, which appear to violate the rules governing a promotion system that is supposed to be a political and merit-based, were described by 5 current and former defense officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive personal matters. Now, no female officers were included on the new 1-star list, which was released publicly in late May, despite the fact that the women make up about 21% of the active duty Navy. The list appears to include only 2 non-white officers, even though sailors who identify as racial minorities make up about 38% of the active duty Navy. Mr. Hegseth's removal of the officers from the 1-star list is highly unusual, said the current and former defense officials, according to Pentagon rules. So the Pentagon don't agree with it. It's Donald Trump doing his thing. Just want all black Navy soldiers to see this. The Defense Secretary is supposed to pull officers from the list only for moral, mental, physical, or professional failings that raise question about the officer's fitness to lead. That is what the Pentagon rule is saying. But Donald Trump administration is doing otherwise, to the contrary of that. Mr. Hegseth actions are the latest in a series of firings and personal interventions that appear to be driven by his anti-diversity politics rather than officers' performance. Take that away. This is not coming from, right, Mystic Sensation, Lady Mystic, or Sister Maria. We are going to go deeper than that now. So Jamaica, I'm going to show you a pattern that is striking. Hold on, honey. Let me just talk to the people and build the background. Right? Sister Maria, do you want to say anything about that before I move?
Yes, 2 things. One, I have physical therapy in the morning, so I have to be off by 11 o'clock. But this is my thing about all of this, the geopolitics and all this, is that there's a bigger conversation to be had, and it has to do with Jamaica itself. And what were the conversations? How did all of this come about? Because they're not just going to show up like that. So there had to be conversations taking place, right? And what were the conversations that happened behind the scenes for this to happen? And the thing is, where is the Prime Minister? What has he said? And where's the Foreign Affairs Ministry and Minister and the Minister of State to come out and say what all of this is all about? You understand? And then, no one is going to show you the cards that they're playing. And the truth is, this is the big leagues, this is not a joke. This is the big leagues. This is not something to be to be toyed with. So my concern is, what were the conversations that happened behind the scenes, and what is the end game for all of this? You know, that is really my concern. But I have to listen to you as I get ready, because I have physical therapy in the morning. So, you know, it's always good to be in this space, and God's willing, we talk later. All right, blessings. Yeah, man, cool.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. Blessings, Anne-Marie. Yeah.
Blessings. All right, let me talk to my Jamaican people. Now, Jamaica people, when I get into the investigation as it relates to, okay, why America really attacked Venezuela, and then after attack Venezuela, they attack Iran, and after attack Iran, they want to attack Cuba. And I found one commonality. A lot of people don't realize. You know what the commonality is? If you go back and look on all three that America is pursuing, I realize that they all have interests as it relates to signing on to the BRICS. I am going to show you. The BRICS and China influence in the Caribbean is very serious. Because the BRICS succeed is going to be the failure as it relates to America's economy and the dying of the dollar. Now let us get into it. Let us go to Venezuela and confirm that Venezuela joined the BRICS. Let us show the people that. Let us show this. Here it is. President Maduro confirms Venezuela interest in joining BRICS. Here it is. Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro said that his country hopes to join BRICS, an economic cooperation group that includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS is the driving force behind the emergence of a multipolar world. And now that the bloc is considering expanding to allow new countries to participate, Venezuela expressed its intention to join. He said the country has submitted a formal application to join the bloc. Donald Trump administration is not having that. You can't, in the United States backyard, and showing interest in joining the BRICS. You cannot be, as according to the Monroe Doctrine, be in the United States backyard as the Caribbean and giving influence to the BRICS or expansion of China and expansion of Russia. Donald Trump administration is not going to have it. And so he is going to definitely pursue to stop that. Now, let me show you that Venezuela, right? This is the reason and the primary reason as to why Venezuela being attacked. Now, let us go to Iran and show you something. I'm showing you a pattern here. This is telling indirectly to China and Russia that America have them on notice. Here it is. Can we get rid of this? Now, look at this. Iran becomes a member of BRICS with hopes and challenges. Iran officially became a member of the China-led BRICS Economic Organization on Monday as it seeks to overcome the impact of US sanctions and overcome it. Isolation. You hear that, people? Iran officially became a member of the China-led BRICS Economic Organization on Monday as it seeks to overcome the impact of US sanctions and overcome its isolation. In its policy of finding shelter on the Chinese and Russian-dominated international organization, Iran achieved full membership in Shanghai Cooperation Organization in July 2022. Take that away. Let me show you what happened to Cuba and show you that the United States is saying, no, this is too much. We have to stop it. So let us speak the truth here of what is going on and let people realize what is going on. Now listen.
Cuba's entry into the BRICS alliance marks the start of a transformative era, as the nation moves beyond its long-standing economic constraints to emerge as a rising force in the global south. After decades of isolation due to sanctions and limited access to global markets, Cuba now stands at the threshold of an economic revolution. Recently, Cuba officially joined BRICS as an associate member, aligning itself with the economic powerhouses of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, positioning itself as a key player in the shifting landscape of global trade. This membership is not just a political victory for Cuba, but a lifeline, offering new wealth, critical resources, and enhanced trade partnerships. Once isolated and under siege by economic sanctions, Cuba now finds itself on the cusp of a revolutionary economic resurgence. The decades-long U.S. embargo that sought to stifle Cuba's growth is now a relic, and this new chapter allows Cuba to break free from the restrictions of the American-dominated global financial system. As an associate member of BRICS, Cuba can now collaborate with some of the world's largest economies, which together account for over 45% of global GDP, and include major oil producers. This shift is particularly significant because it allowed Cuba to bypass the US dollar in its trade agreements, an unprecedented opportunity for a country excluded from dollar-based transactions for over 60 years. This new path opens the door for direct trade with other BRICS nations, facilitating smoother exchanges and access to goods and services that were previously out of reach. But the benefits of Cuba's BRICS membership extend far beyond trade. It paves the way for Cuba to engage in major scientific, technological, and innovation-driven projects, particularly in sectors like energy and infrastructure. Cuba, which has long struggled with outdated energy infrastructure, stands to gain from collaborations that will bring much-needed upgrades, helping the country leap into the future of energy production. The immediate influx of goods and resources from BRICS countries will help Cuba fill gaps left by the embargo and boost its self-sufficiency in key sectors. While Cuba's economic rebirth can be partly attributed to strategic geopolitical shifts, one leader's unwavering support has been central to making this moment possible. Russian President Vladimir Putin played a pivotal role in championing Cuba's entry into BRICS during the 2024 BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. Putin's backing reflects the deepening ties between Havana and Moscow, aligning with BRICS's broader vision of a multipolar global order. As the BRICS countries continue to forge new trade partnerships and invest in infrastructure, Cuba is positioned at the heart of this evolving global order. The Mariel Port, one of Cuba's most strategically located economic hubs, is set to become a primary storage and distribution point for BRICS goods heading to the Americas, enhancing Cuba's role as a
Let me talk to the people. United States is making sure that this doesn't happen. Cuba will not get the benefit of this. No BRICS alliance in the Caribbean. Donald Trump executed the Monroe Doctrine and giving indirect message to Russia, to China, that their dominance in the Caribbean Peninsula is going to be reduced. Donald Trump, with the Nimitz in Kingston Port, is sending a message in the Caribbean saying, any Caribbean leaders, dare think that they bad ever think about joining the BRICS. What we have done to Venezuela, what we have done to Cuba, you will be next. Warning. This mission and this ship docked in Kingston sending this message that there's no other country in the Caribbean should ever think that they want to have an alliance with the BRICS. Chinese dominance must be reduced. Russia dominance must be reduced. I found a document where they clearly stated that. Now, here is the document I am going to read to you. This has nothing to do with Cuba killing America over 30 years. This is a proxy, a pretext to ensure that no Caribbean country, as it relates to the Monroe Doctrine, supporting the BRICS and building up the BRICS against the United States dollar. Donald Trump is cutting that off. This has nothing, where people talking about oil and all of that. This has nothing. This is about total control and domination as it relates to the Monroe Doctrine. Now, let me show you the Monroe Doctrine. Let me show you the entire plan that is going to be executed. And no one can dispute what I am saying here. No one can dispute. No one. Andrew Holness also know this. That's why Andrew Holness was sending a signal message to Cuba for Cuba to shift their political philosophy. Andrew Holness was sending that message that Cuba needs to shift its political philosophy and go capitalism. Now, here it is. And this is the truth and nothing but the truth. US warned of Caribbean becoming Chinese lake. The US warned of the Caribbean becoming Chinese lake. This is March 9th, 2025. Now, on December 2, 1823, we're going to show you where the John Monroe Doctrine came from and why Donald Trump is using the Monroe Doctrine. The Democrats in the United States fully aware that Donald Trump is using this doctrine. The Republicans fully aware that this is what Donald Trump is executing. So people look and learn geopolitics at its best. On December 2nd, 1823, President James Monroe gave his 7th State of the Union address before Congress, using the occasion to advance what would later become known as the Monroe Doctrine. After a string of former Spanish colonies in the Americas declared their independence, Monroe said the United States would oppose further predation in the region from the European empires to preserve the newly emancipated states. People, I want you to listen and learn. As American power exploded during the 19th and the early 20th centuries, the Monroe Doctrine evolved and increasingly came to mean Washington's opposition to any, I want people to listen now, to any potential hostile foreign power establishing itself in the Americas. China and Russia are doing just that. Donald Trump administration is going to reverse that. Andrew Holness, caught up between the eagle and the dragon. I'm going to explain that. With this and a variety of more mercantile motives in mind, the US made a series of military interventions in Latin Americans and the Caribbean. You hear that, people? Have you heard that, people? Let me read that over again. With this and a variety of more mercantile motives in mind, the US made a series of military interventions in Latin America and the Caribbean. Look, listen and learn. However, the past few decades have seen a dramatic increase in Chinese economic and diplomatic influence across the region. You hear? With one foreign policy expert telling Newsweek that Beijing wants to turn the Caribbean Sea into a Chinese lake. You hear? Evidence. They are also concerned that the cuts to the U.S. Agency for International Development imposed by President Donald Trump's administration since it took over in January could weaken American influence in the Caribbean. One regional expert described the move to Newsweek as a huge gift to Beijing. Now, surging Chinese influence. China is by some margin in the United States' chief geopolitical rival, having seen its economic strength explode over the past few decades. Data from the World Trade Organization showed the value of Chinese manufacturing exports hit 1.8 trillion in 2023, up to 30 times in 2002. People who listen and hear. While America's global trade deficit was over $1.2 trillion. So you see that China, you understand, is very much advanced as it relates to their economic power, their economic reach, their Belt and Road Initiative, taking over the Caribbean. United States are going to mash up all of that. United States is going to damage all of that. Chinese trade with an investment in Central America and the Caribbean have expanded rapidly over the past few years. According to figures from the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Chinese trade with the Caribbean went from 1 billion in 2002 to much 8 billion in 2019, when 6.1 billion worth of Chinese export and 1.9 billion in imports were recorded. I want to be listening to people. The committee identified major Chinese projects, including the development of 3 billion deep water port and Grand Bahama, just 55 miles from the US mainland, and a 600 million investment to improve the Dominican Republic electricity grid. According to Forbes, China is funding 2.1 billion worth of projects in Jamaica and 773 million in Suriname. You hear that, people? America record all of them something, yeah? America, they record all of them something, yeah? So the ship that in Kingston, they tell Andrew and they say, listen, me no want you go further with China influence. The talk what them a talk, and the talk what we now hear. Look keenly and carefully. Donald Trump administration is telling Andrew Holness administration to put a lid on China development in Jamaica. United States in generally is telling Caribbean countries, listen to me, put a lid on Chinese development in our backyard, as according to the Monroe Doctrine. Me now invite no Chinese influence in my backyard anymore. So any Caribbean country think that they are doing business with China and want to sign BRICS, you and the United States will be in Bangarang. This not have nothing to do about island railway, blah, blah, blah. Any country step out of the line, joining BRICS, United States is going to so-called correct their behavior. You know, I hear me, Jamaica people? Now, see that? As of 2022, 10 Caribbean countries had signed up to Beijing Belt and Road Initiative. But tell you, say, United States record these things. United States is very concerning about these things. A major Chinese economic program that critics argue is a Trojan horse for geopolitical ambitions. And I said that. And I said that. Here it is. Let me read it over again. As of 2022, 10 Caribbean countries had signed up to Beijing Belt and Road Initiative. A major Chinese economic program that critics argue is our Trojan horse for geopolitical ambitions. You know what this now? Cuba, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Barbados, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. All these countries, as it relates to the US, ship going around having dialogue with Caribbean leaders, is to ask them which part of the kind understand. Which part of the kind you people stand? Any support of these Caribbean as it relates to the BRICS is an enemy of the United States. Clear enough, clear warning. Speaking to Newsweek, Evan Ellis, a research professor at the U.S. Army War College Strategic Studies Institute who specializes in the relationship between Latin America and China, said that while individual Chinese companies primarily have commercial objectives, Beijing is keeping a close eye on the wider strategic picture. Although I don't believe that Chinese companies pursue presence in the region principally because of the military value, the military opportunities that such commercial presence and political and military relationships potentially provide in a time of war is obvious to the People's Liberation Army and the Chinese government, Ellis said. You know, I hear that, people. Ellis added, on per capita basis, there is no other part of the Western Hemisphere that received the quantity of trips for its police and defense force officials to Chinese military institutions, gifts of police and military vehicles and material, visit by Chinese hospital ships. At a day when Chinese hospital ships come into the Caribbean, that stand too strong to send a strong message to the United States. Say, look at boy, we're there in your backyard. United States read the message and said that is threatening. May I have to go put on my foot. May I have to go put on my foot. And other People's Liberation Army military diplomacy, as does the Caribbean. Alan Mendoza, executive director of the London-based security think tank, the Henry Jackson Society, told Newsweek that Beijing is actively seeking to challenge the US in the Caribbean. We don't talk, take with that. So Jamaica, why everything a fly over on our head? These people out to turn the Caribbean in a warfare. Superpowers measuring up. It don't have nothing to do, right, with Cuba this and Cuba that and Venezuela this and Venezuela that. It's a serious threat to the United States. The BRICS is moving powerful. When the BRICS started out, it started with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now BRICS extended from the main five, to more than 30 countries. Now powerful, building the BRICS. America has been threatened economically, militarily. Russia is now telling United States that any move towards Cuba might be involved in interference of him. But the truth be told, let us speak real on the chessboard. And let me go on the Caribbean. Russia have no artillery to defend no one in the Caribbean, including Cuba. Let me warn Cuba tonight. I'm giving my warning. Because when we are studying and when we are researching, we research the facts. So let me warn the Caribbean. Be on your P and Q. Stay away from the BRICS. America is serious about this. America is under threat as it relates to the rise of the BRICS, and particular China and Russia. America wants their influence to reduce, their influence to stop. That is the reason why Andrew Holness cannot go forward with the backside as it relates to China. So let me speak what is hiding from you. This is now, you have serious situation, and why it is serious. Let me tell you why it is serious. China had spent billions in the Caribbean. Russia also spent billions in the Caribbean. Are they, this is a question that I'm going to ask, are they going to walk away, leave all of that? No. No. They are not going to walk away, leaving all of that. What answer does United States have for that, to the fact that the Caribbean, the 10 Caribbean countries that were listed, have already deep, as it relates to the BRI, several contracts with China? Jamaica is at the head of that. Billions of Chinese contracts. How does Andrew Holness navigate between the eagle and the dragon? Because the eagle is serious and the eagle is watching him. The eagle is saying to him, look, we have you upon money laundering. Look, we have you upon drugs. Don't you think you can deny us? You see when me tell us if you open your leg, me no want no back answer from you, no boy. The only thing why you answer me, ask me how wide me need to open it. Andrew Holness fit in this puzzle is what I identify as a political prostitute. And United States is dominating that. Now, if you notice, if you look, and let me give you a reminder, as it relates to the Panamanian Canal. When the Panamanian president decided that when the canal up, they're not going to sign the contract with the United States. They are going to cease signing that. United States said, who you talk to, boy? You lost a place. We're not going to put you in your place. You know, some of you have your pan drugs. I'm going to ask you, me to come in and that for you, and I'm going to remove you. What happened to Noriega? He was removed. Where is Noriega today? In United States prison. So I am warning all Caribbean countries tonight to take a look and see what happened to Venezuela. And go and do your deep dive to know that Venezuela have intentions to go to the BRICS. America is not going to allow that. America slap him out. Take another look on Cuba. Cuba sign on to the BRICS. America is going to slap Cuba out. And let me say this, Jamaica. There is neither China nor Russia can stop the United States from taking over Cuba. Cuba has no resistance to United States. Russia, what do you think the United States has been doing as it relates to the Southern Fleet in visiting and combing the Caribbean Peninsula, ensuring that there is no marines, there is no submarines, either belongs to Russia or China, no assistance, because what they plan to do, they are going to take Cuba, whether we like it, yes or no. Cuba is going to be taken. Mark my word. I am not asking if the United States, what the United States is doing now, actively involved in the Caribbean, squeezing the pressure on Cuba for Cuba to collapse inside and collapse internally. But here's an ultimatum, because the United States is not going to wait that long. Let me give a prediction here, and I want you to listen to me. By now, at the end of next month, the Cuban president will be out of Cuba. They know what I am saying is true. How do we stand and how do we measure the kind? The Caribbean is just not safe. The question, is it that China is going to be diplomatic in saying, okay, give them the win? I don't know. Is it that Russia, although that Russia came out and fling big threat, we know that Russia had done the same thing in Ukraine. The very same thing that United States has been doing in the Caribbean as it relates to the Monroe Doctrine. This is the very same reason why Russia and Ukraine is at war. Because Ukraine show its intention to join NATO. And Vladimir Putin said, no, you are not going to have American influence right in my backyard. I am not going to allow you to do that. People, go back to your history. What caused Ukraine and Russia to be at war? It is to the fact that Ukraine, right, exhibit interest to join NATO. And Vladimir Putin tell Zelensky that, look, I am not going to allow you to do that. Let us come back to the Monroe Doctrine. in the Caribbean. United States, as it relates to concern. But let me just be genuine now, as it relates to Donald Trump administration. And I don't want nobody go say, me a hypocrite. I don't want nobody go say, me a hypocrite. That's why now I showed, as it relates to Ukraine and what Russia did. So when we look on the concern that Russia have to say that, all right, if Ukraine join NATO, the possibility exists that America can move, you understand, or any NATO countries can move certain short ballistic missiles, right, close to Russia and can damage Russia. Now, let us look now in the Caribbean and speak the truth now. You understand? Put out the ways of Donald Trump and all of that. You don't believe that it is the same concern that the United States is having to say that if China take over full influence in the Caribbean Peninsula and Russia take over full influence in the Caribbean Peninsula and remove certain arsenal short ballistic missile, then, 90 miles within the Caribbean Sea from Jamaica, you understand, can reach Florida, can reach the United States, plus long-range missiles. So what the United States is saying, that yes, based on what seems to be the pretext, BRI economic development, but under that they're concerned that I cannot have my deep enemy so close behind my neck. That is what the United States is saying. Let me just Ed Boy, let me have Ed Boy speak to us. Yes, Ed Boy.
You know, this is my area of specialty, you know.
Yes.
Yeah? Once it touches Cuba, but I want to agree with you to some extent to say
yes,
that the concerns, you know, are legitimate. Yes?
Thank you.
However, here is where the however. Cuba has never been a sponsor of state terrorism. Yes?
Yes.
So if you similarly, let's use the Iran situation. Iran said we are not making a nuclear bomb because a FATA was declared by the Ayatollah that says no nuclear bomb. Yeah? Similarly, after the Khrushchev, after the missile crisis in Cuba, Fidel declared that no country, Russia, China, no matter who it be, should have any military base in Cuba or should have any setup that would be used as a launching pad for attack on America. He has declared that multiple times.
Yes.
So the concern, this is warped in really propaganda.
Yes.
Though it's a genuine concern.
Yes.
Yes. It is a concern that is based on that comes on the basis of propaganda. Let us be real and reason it. If Cuba is not a state sponsor of terrorism, if Cuba's the only thing Cuba sponsored is send doctors across the world to help countries. Yeah?
True.
The notion that America somehow controls this Caribbean region as their backyard it's a falsified notion.
Yes.
It no longer exists. The Donroe Doctrine or the Monroe Doctrine is no longer in effect.
Yes.
Because let's use it for example.
The Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine.
The Monroe Doctrine, or the Donroe as they call it now. Yes. Who controls the port of Kingston? Isn't it the Chinese?
Yes.
Who controls the port in Santo Domingo? Isn't it the Chinese?
Yes.
So if you go across the length and breadth of the Caribbean, the Chinese have come because America failed to play its role in the same place it calls its backyard.
Very
what
true.
Do I mean by that?
Hold on, very true, Ed Boy. But you know that it is the same concern that they are talking about. Chinese want to turn the Caribbean into a lake in terms of controlling it. And you heard that, right?
Yes, but the concerns are not genuine. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
I listened to Prime Minister Mark Carney. Remember what used to happen in Canada? The Chinese used to come, them go into Vancouver and them buy up and send up the prices of real estate. Yeah? And what do you see happening now? And even electric vehicle, they're ban them from doing electric vehicles with China. What has happened now?
Yes.
The new Prime Minister in Canada said, no, we can't allow this thinking in our minds to say we will not have any relationship with China because of whatever particular influence they might have or what our friends little below us think.
But hold on, head boy. Do you think this is a MAGA propaganda or philosophy, or do you believe that this propagandism is pushing by the MAGA group?
It is being pushed by the criminals down in South Florida, which Rubio is a part of that group.
Wow.
Yes, and I say so with no apologies. Understand why who financed Trump's election? It's the same narco-terrorists who were deported. A lot of them were sent out of Cuba because they were the conspirators that allowed Cuba to be overrun by the mafia in the 1940s and 50s. The same, all of who you see down in Miami now that is opposed to Cuba, right? And opposed to, but I don't agree with some of them. It's not everything in Cuba we agree with, but people elect a government and people have a government that they believe is, and they have the right to exist and they have the right to function as a country. But the broader point that I want to raise is it is being done on the basis of the influence that these people in South Florida have on the president. And why you think they make Rubio the Secretary of
So
State?
they are the ones who pushing the propaganda.
They are the ones who are pushing the propaganda. Even this indictment on Raul Castro. Imagine you fly a plane in the Canadian airspace or in Jamaican airspace, and the government of those countries said to you, brethren, you need to exit my airspace. You have no permission to fly over here, and I am telling you to leave. And you keep on dropping your leaflets and dropping your documents, which, by the way, is worse than if you're dropping bombs on me, you know, because you're telling people to overthrow the government.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly, head boy.
And that's how Raul responded. But this notion, you're right. There's also something you said that I totally agree with you.
Yes.
That this has nothing to do with any China or no. It really has to do with the fact that Cuba has acceded to the BRICS.
Exactly.
Similarly with Venezuela, and that they have also found how to bypass using the American currency.
There you go.
People need to understand what's happening in Venezuela before they kidnapped Maduro, you know. Venezuela was going through a rough time after the sanctions in 2018. By 2023, the Venezuelan economy grew by 14%.
Yes.
Why was that so? Because the Venezuelans found a way to bypass the sanctions and bypass dollarization. What America is afraid of is the de-dollarization, you know?
Ed boy, when we do the investigation, and I realized that, but hold on, he attacked Venezuela. Venezuela showed intention to join the BRICS. He attacked Iran. Iran joined the BRICS. And now he wants to attack Cuba. And when I look, Cuba joined the BRICS. So I said, okay, this is the fear because of, you said, the de-dollarization of the dollar. You understand? And BRICS is advancing.
It's a survival, and understand this as well, that in Cuba, there's currently 11 to 12 million people. Another 5 to 6 million lives outside of Cuba. They send back money home to Cuba. Yeah? So what it means is that if you have Cuba join the BRICS and function the way that they're functioning now, what it simply means is that the Americans will no longer have the influence that they would have had on Cuba. Not only that,
yes.
Go back to the Panama Canal. Do you know that Cuba's port of Maribel, yeah, which they are far way advanced in terms of their logistics ports or logistic hub than comparing to what Jamaica has done so far?
Oh yes.
So Cuba sits exactly directly in the channel that leads to the Panama Canal. Yeah? Whereas Jamaica might be en route, Cuba is the closest to the channel that the ships pass. If If Cuba were to develop its logistics system, it means most of those ships, because of the Chinese influence, they wouldn't be wasting the time to go down to Panama Canal that is controlled by the Americans. Where do you think they'll be going to? Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So all of this has to do with economics. You have an hegemony that is failing, an hegemony that is failing. And what do you do when your country is failing? You try to grasp in some ways to see how you can preserve that failure.
Yes.
And that is what the Americans are actually doing. So as I say, I can understand their view, but it's also a racist view. And I'll tell you why I say this is shredded in. It's Zionism, and it is also racism.
You're perfectly right.
If you go to South Florida, most of those Cubans who support Rubio and Trump, right? They are some of the most racist Cubans you can find. Yes, that's one. Two, most of them are Jews. Did you hear the word I use?
Oh yes.
Jews.
Oh yes.
And they're not just regular Jews, because we have no problem with Jews, Muslim, Christian. We all should live together.
Mm-hmm.
But there are Zionists. There's a difference between a Jew and a Zionist, you know. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to punish Cuba because Cuba was the first country to recognize Palestine. Yasser Arafat visited Fidel Castro, and Fidel Castro also gave the PLO, which is the Palestinian Liberation Front, or the army that they had there, he gave them aid in fighting Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that, and the same with Venezuela. Hugo Chavez recognized Palestine, and he also gave support to this to Lebanon through Hezbollah.
Yes.
Yeah? So these things that you see happening, it is because the Americans feel that you should not, they can support the jihadists in the Mujahideen fighters in Afghanistan who later became the Taliban. Yeah?
Mm.
They can support Al-Shabaab. They can support all those terrorist groups. But you can't support a group that is considered a resistance group. So this is about power. This is a power trip. It has nothing, and an economic one. But understand that the American hegemony is failing, it is falling, and they will be clutching at a straw. As I go, Mystic, I want to tell
Hold on, let me ask you something before you go. Hold on, Headboy. I want to ask you something before you go. Do you see any form of turning back as it relates to United States, somehow, just not attacking Cuba? I don't see it. But what say you on that?
I tell you what will be the turning back. The first time, if the I don't want to say it, and I will not say what I'm going to say because I don't want your channel to be striked.
Okay.
But I'll simply say, if you attack somebody that is your neighbor, expect that your neighbor who is very near to you with capabilities of attacking will attack. Yeah.
So hold on. So what you're saying to the fact that if Jamaica any at all, you understand, to the fact that host, right, United States, and if you said we don't know the capabilities of Cuba, I would presume that Cuba really don't have the military might to sustain a United States. You understand? Because you face the fact, Edward, Cuba does have a little domestic army. Have a little domestic army. I could be wrong, but that's my perception.
And I hope that the perception stays the same way.
Yes.
But I'll remind you that it was Cuba who helped the fighters in Angola liberate themselves.
Well, that is true, because that is true history.
It is Cuba who helped the fighters in Namibia, and Cuba who helped the South Africans when they were under apartheid.
So you believe that Cuba, do you believe that Cuba has as much of the capability to resist United States like what Iran did? Do you believe that?
Let me use this as an example. You remember when Iran said to Israel and the US, if you attack me, I'm going to attack your partners in the Middle East. What did Iran do? Iran looked at the infrastructure of Kuwait,
yes,
Saudi Arabia,
yes,
Qatar,
yes,
and Bahrain. And the moment they started striking hard, what did the Bahrain, Kuwaitis, and the UAE, the Abu Dhabi citizens did? They cried. They said, "No, we didn't do anything. Leave us alone. It is America." So the point that I'm making is, you don't for 1 minute think that Cuba doesn't have the capabilities. We live in an era where everybody is friend. Who is Cuba's biggest ally outside of China and Russia?
I don't know. Tell me now.
Iran.
Okay, but let me because this is concerned. This must be concerning to every Jamaican right now, listening to both of us communicating this geopolitics. Because the thing is, the Caribbean has no form of air protection mechanism, like how Israel have air protection mechanism. So it would be a devastating impact on places like Jamaica.
It's not just the Caribbean alone, my friend. It's not just the Caribbean alone. Miami has none either.
What about side this?
I will not say anything more on that, right? But what I'll say to you is that the ship that came to Jamaica didn't come to launch an attack yet. We need to be smarter than that.
Exactly.
Why was Darrell Vaz on the ship? What is Darrell Vaz's function? Isn't he the Minister of
Transportation,
Telecommunications?
Yes.
And airports?
Yes.
Where was the radar system installed in Trinidad? Wasn't it installed at the A&R Robinson Airport to help the Americans monitor what was happening in Venezuela?
Righty, George. Talk to us, Edward. We are listening.
No, let me tell you what has happened. I need Darrell Vance to answer the question. What agreement did he make with the Americans in relation to a radar surveillance system to be set up in the parish of Portland? You hear the word? Portland. And by the way, I can tell you the two locations of the possibility of a radar system. Because Portland and St. Mary are the two closest parishes to Cuba. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah? So, what do? If you have a big abandoned airport called Ken Jones. You remember Ken Jones Airport?
Yes.
In Portland. It already has the infrastructure because it is an airport. So it has the towers, it has the communication systems. So what do? You say to the Americans, come and set up your system here. In fact, because in Guantanamo Bay, they cannot monitor, they cannot listen into Cuba because Cuba has sophisticated jammer systems that jam them. So what do? You come to Jamaica, which is the closest part, because there is no jamming system the Cubans have installed to jam us, because they never expect that we would sell them out.
Wow.
So my friend, this visit has nothing to do with any humanitarian assistance. It has to do with the installation of a radar system. Yes? And that radar system, if an invasion were to come, that is what they would use to guide them. But I say to the Jamaican government and to the Jamaican people, if any radar assistance is given from anywhere in Jamaica that sees an attack on Cuba, Cuba will respond in like manner, like how the Iran responded to Kuwait, to Qatar, and to the UAE. I don't have to explain much on that. Yeah? And you know where they will, the three things they will respond, three places that will be of high risk. Petrojam, your water infrastructure, and your electricity grid.
And your ports, as well. But let me say this, Edward, because this is really serious in terms of the geopolitical development, right, going on right about now, right? Because what sort of information or encouragement would you say as it relates to the Caribbean leaders? Would you say to them if they get the opportunity in terms of joining BRICS, that they should join BRICS? Because wouldn't that be problematic based on what the United States is doing, right? If you join BRICS, it's a problem. What would you suggest in that regard?
I would say to them to join as soon as next year to join the BRICS. After November this year, Donald Trump will no longer be the president of the United States. I'm making a bold prediction here tonight. I'll tell you why. when they, and I'm using his own words, remember what he said?
Yes.
If I lose the midterms, they're going to impeach me. I him said, you know.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, yes.
So after, the best time to join the BRICS is when they're in their turmoil and having their impeachment. But they're going to impeach Donald Trump. We know that there's sufficient information regarding to the Epstein files and how Americans think about what has happened in the Epstein files. There's two things you don't do with North Americans, and I say North Americans, I'm referring to Canadians and Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't trouble their dog and you don't trouble their children. Yeah? And
so
in some instances, in the United States, they don't trouble them gun.
You said,
yeah?
hold on, head boy, because I know everyone will left me, you know. You don't trouble their dog and you don't trouble their children. I am sort of interested in the last part. You don't trouble their children. Do you believe any form of accusation will be coming up in the Epstein file as it relates to underage girls that unable to give consent and where it might be?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you answered before I
read the redacted Epstein, if you go and read some of the files that they have published so far, it has shown you that he, the sitting deranged, mentally deranged president in the United States, yes, that he presided, he was a part of the recruitment. His place in Mar-a-Lago was mentioned over 3,000 times. So his place was a facility. He facilitated the activities that Epstein presided over. In fact, he cannot distance himself from the Epstein files because it is said in some of the report that you look at that he was communicating and telling Epstein how some of the girls were looking very good, and we're talking about 13 and 14-year-old girls.
Yes, that's very serious. That's very, very, very serious.
So once he loses the midterms, which he's going to lose, by the way, because there's all indications. They're talking about America's entered the war with Iran, which has seen gasoline move from where it was at $2 something now to almost climbing up to $5 and $6. Yeah, a liter. And so he's going to lose badly in the midterms. It means he will not have any power. He will be a president that will be ruling by executive orders.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Because he will lose both houses. And once he loses both houses, the House now will proceed with the impeachment trial.
Whoa.
And it will not be just limited to the Epstein. It will be also in relation to war crimes.
Yes. Because remember the Caribbean situation in terms of killing many of the fishermen in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
Right? But let me say this, Edward, because if I to conjure up everything that you're saying here tonight, you are saying that you are seeing that United States dollar in the near future, right, is coming to an end. An empire is about to fall and the rise of a new empire. Is that what you are saying to the listening people, Edward?
My friend, the empire has fallen, not about to fall.
Right,
let's use the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay.
The Strait of Hormuz, what did the Iranians say as if you want to pass the Strait of Hormuz?
I want to agree with you. Yes.
Remember, 20% of all oil transactions pass through the Strait of Hormuz, meaning all shipping. What the Iranians are doing is that they're rewriting the rules. They have said to the Americans, and they have said to everybody passing the Strait of Hormuz, if you're trading in oil, you must buy in one. Yeah? Understand that the deal that the Saudis signed, which is OPEC, right? UAE, by the way, Dubai has pulled away from OPEC, which is one of the biggest insults to the Americans. So what it means is that Dubai is not or the UAE is not by law forced to sell their oil in US currency. They can sell it in whatever currency they choose. Venezuela has done that already. They swap oil in whatever currency. They use crypto, they use whatever currency that, and they have exchange. Then, if 20% of the shipment of oil is no longer happening because the strait is closed, Do you know the impact that has on the American economy?
Ripple effect.
Ripple effect. So let's say on a daily basis, $20 billion would be traded in oil. And because the strait is closed, that is not happening.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about over 3 months now, the strait has been closed. Right? Let's just use 20 as a figure. That's 90 days. I'm not very good at math. Right? But it is, let's say you're looking at 2 nines, no, 8, no, 2 nines, no, 18.
Yes.
Yeah? Almost 180 billion dollars.
Yes.
They have lost just over the period of time. And it can be more. Yeah? So, you know the impact that have on the American dollar? That is why the inflation in America is rising. Because there is no use of the American dollar. Remember, American dollar is not backed by anything, compared to the Canadian dollar that is backed by something.
Yes.
American dollar is backed by nothing. It's just goodwill and trust.
So it's just paper. It's just paper.
It's paper.
Paper economy.
It's 18 cents to print a $100 bill. 18 cents.
Whoa.
Yeah? So when you look at this, and people need to understand this, what you're seeing happening now has nothing to do with oil as much of us think.
Exactly. Exactly, boy. And I love how you back me on this, boy. Because when we do the investigation and we do the research, I said this have nothing to do with oil or anything what Donald Trump is saying, right? Because they are feeling the pinch that the dollar is dying and BRICS is growing. Yeah. And that is where the beef of the matter is.
And that is a fear. And the fear is, and that is why now you see, if you look at what the president does every week he comes out to say to the market, we're going to end the war. The market goes up. Yeah?
Yes.
And he comes at a strategic time to do it because this has to do with the survival of the American economy.
Exactly.
And BRICS.
Exactly.
BRICS cannot allow to, but here's the thing with that they have created. Iran before the war was a very weak country.
Mm-hmm.
Weak in the sense financially. Yeah? They have made Iran stronger than ever.
Yeah, because what amount of money that Iran is collecting from the Strait of Hormuz? You have to put that now in consideration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, do you know what that is going to also have the implications for shipping?
Mm-hmm.
Because before, Oman and Iran has agreed to share the toll, right? And all the nice area America making board, no toll now go collect. Them can't make it because Iran has learned now that if I lock down the Strait of Hormuz,
yes,
then I control global trade.
You can't stop that.
I control fertilizer. You can't stop me.
Yes.
So when we look at this, once again, it has nothing to do with. Let's use the Venezuelan thing. What do you think the Americans went in to capture Venezuela? Venezuela started to, as I say, sell their oil not in US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
What is America doing now? America is the one who is selling the Venezuelan. For every barrel of Venezuelan oil that is sold, Donald Trump and his cronies in the US collect $20 per barrel. Yes? $20 per barrel. When you hear them say the Platts, minus 15 or plus 15,
yes,
yeah? Oil has commissions, and the person who is the seller or the arranger in it on both sides, the buyer side, the seller side gets commission.
Mm-hmm.
They have driven that commission up to. So imagine if Venezuela trades 1 billion barrels a day, America is getting for every barrel. If the barrel is selling now at a close to 90 or 100, they're getting $20 for every barrel.
Wow.
Yeah? But that way was to ensure that is to keep the currency afloat.
Yes.
America is in how much trillion in debt? I think there's a 2 or 3 trillion in debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
3 trillion.
So
3 trillion in debt.
3 trillion. Right. So how are you going to function if there's no trade happening in your US dollars? Gold is also being traded in local currency. The Chinese have said to the world, we can bypass. Come to us. They signed a deal with Africa, which is the largest trading bloc in the world. What the Chinese said to Africa, you trade in your currency, buy from me in one, and I buy from you in your currency.
Yes.
Huh? So
yes,
all of these maneuvers to circumvent the US dollars has had impact on them.
It's very
it has
serious.
impacted the economy. So as I go, my brother, because I know I wanted to continue to finish the rest. But
Yes.
what I can say to Andrew Holness, if this radar is used, I hope that the Cubans have the coordinates to where you are, because it's you sell us out, not we sell them out, you know. It's you sell us out. Yeah?
Yes.
And I tell you, if you have any knowledge about the Cubans, they will not give up. Baron, I'm not saying that they can take on America. But one thing I've known about America, America has never won a war on the ground. If you can show me one.
No, you're right with that.
Won a war.
You're right with that, because you and I is of the same understanding. So you're right. I don't even have to research that.
So I yield to you, my friend.
All
and
right.
continue the hard work, because you and I need to look at this FLA report to
Can you imagine, sir?
That is another one for another time.
All right, my brother. Walk good.
All the best, man.
Blessings. All right. So there you go. You have it from Head Boy. And remember, you're getting a lot of experience there. Right? And, Head Boy and myself, we are parallel as it relates to the pretext that the United States is using. But we as it relates to the understanding, right? The dollar, you understand, is getting weaker. BRICS is getting stronger. United States have serious concern. Now, let us play the final clip as it relates to what Trump is saying, that US is in charge of Venezuela, right, and ready to have Cuba fall. That is what he is saying. So let us listen to that, and that's the final clip for tonight, right? So let us get into that, honey, to end the show, right? But the Caribbean, as it is, under turmoil, and it is just not safe in terms of what we are looking on right now. Yeah.
Overnight, President Trump reaffirming that the United States is in control of Venezuela after the raid that led to the capture of dictator Nicolas Maduro.
We're in charge.
Trump last night also issuing stark warnings to other countries, including Colombia.
Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
So there will be an operation by the U.S.
It sounds good to me.
And Mexico.
Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something.
The president was also asked about Cuba, where the economy has been supported by Venezuela for decades. Many there now fear the U.S. could take military action in Cuba as well.
Cuba is ready to fall. Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall.
You just wait for Cuba. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26. In our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans.
The Cuban government claims 32 Cuban nationals were killed during the U.S. raid. Trump says they were protecting Maduro. The administration says no Americans were killed during Friday night's raid, but a few were injured. While many Republicans are praising the operation, Democrats and even some Republicans are condemning it. Outgoing Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene writing, "Why is it okay for America to militarily invade, bomb, and arrest a foreign leader, but Russia is evil for invading Ukraine, and China is bad for aggression against Taiwan? Is it only okay if we do it?" Trump defending the raid, saying Maduro's capture will lead to lower oil prices and fewer drugs coming into the U.S.
We're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country.
Well, during the campaign, you talked about ending American foreign intervention. What changed your mind with Venezuela? What kind of drew your interest there?
The fact that he sent drugs into our country.
But many noting Trump recently pardoned the former president of Honduras, who had been convicted in the U.S. of narco-terrorism conspiracy. Trump defended that pardon, calling the conviction a, quote, setup by the Biden administration. Now, Venezuela's former leader will get his day in court. Maduro and his wife are set to be taken to a federal courthouse in New York this morning for arraignment. U.S. prosecutors claim Maduro was at the forefront of narco-terrorism conspiracy to transport thousands of tons of cocaine into the U.S., sold Venezuelan diplomatic passports to individuals he knew were drug traffickers, seeking to move drug proceeds using private planes under diplomatic cover, and that he and his wife maintained state-sponsored gangs and ordered kidnappings, beatings, and murders against those who owed them drug money or undermined their operation.
People should read this indictment. They should read what this man did for the last 15 years of his life against the United States, him and his wife.
Maduro has long denied drug trafficking. It could be well over a year, though, before a jury is seated and the trial can begin.
All right, there it is.
Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker.
All the
in Washington.
pretexts that they have been using and all of that, right? I mean, Jamaica, there you have it, right? But based on the investigation that we have done, and have you heard head boy, right, walking parallel in terms of, the investigation. So we understand that, of course, serious times, the Caribbean is on heat. Now, Jamaica, I want to say big thanks to all people who tune in to listen Mystic Sensation. I really appreciate your listening ears, right? And so we come to the end of the program. Let me just ask Lady Mystic to close us out. Lady Mystic.
Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in and have a blessed and wonderful night and safe travel on the gravel. Until next time, bless up.
All right. Well,
I don't want you come to me with that foolishness, you elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.